All right. Thanks for the Hodge twins. Sorry, guys. We had a technical difficulty when it came to Facebook. That we had to re-grant our access. I'm very, very sorry. Let's get to it. We've only missed a bunch of, I don't know, probably 3 minutes of bullshit. So here we go.
Folks, the story of America is a story of progress and resilience, of always moving forward, of never, ever giving up. It's a story unique among all nations. We're the only country that has emerged from every crisis we've ever entered stronger than we got into it. Look, folks, that's what we're doing again. 2 years ago, the economy was reeling. I stand here tonight after we've created, with the help of many people in this room, 12 million new jobs. More jobs created in 2 years than any president's created in 4 years because of you all, because of the American people. 2 years ago,
allowing people to go back to work is not the same as job creation.
2 years ago,
correct.
COVID had shut down. Our businesses were closed. Our schools were robbed of so much.
COVID didn't do it.
Today,
you did.
COVID no longer controls our lives. And 2 years ago, democracy faced its greatest threats in civil war. And today, though bruised, our democracy remains unbowed and unbroken.
Come on, man.
As we gather here tonight, we're writing the next chapter in the great American story, a story of progress and resilience. When world leaders ask me to define America, and they do, believe it or not, I can define it in one word, and I mean this: possibilities. We don't think anything is beyond our capacity. Everything is a possibility. You know, we're often told that Democrats and Republicans can't work together. But over the past 2 years, we've proved the cynics and naysayers wrong. Yes, we disagreed plenty. And yes, there were times when Democrats went alone. But time and again, Democrats and Republicans came together to defend a stronger and safer Europe. You came together to pass once in a generation infrastructure law.
Senate never approved Ukraine.
Bridges connecting our nation and our people. We came together to pass the most significant law ever, helping victims exposed to toxic burns.
Listen, for the people who say, I can't listen to this. Yes, you can.
Yeah, you have.
And you have to. You're an American. Even if it's the biggest lies and bullshit ever, you want to know what your president is saying. And I don't care. He's not my president. Yes, he is. And we have to listen to this so we know what to call him out on. Bullshit. I can't listen to this guy. You have to.
I will say this. Just in his opening salvo, I have a major problem with that, because it's never been a statement where the United States can do anything, but it's not because of the government. It's because of us.
That's it. Right. I mean, we're going to pick this thing apart. So,
It's important.
And I'm not mad at anybody. I get it. You think I want to sit here and I get the Navs game on?
I signed over 300 bipartisan pieces of legislation since becoming president. From
executive orders,
Act, the Electoral Count Reform Act, the Respect for Marriage Act that protects the right to marry the person you love. And my
that's always been.
If we could work together the last Congress, there's no reason we can't work together and find consensus on important things in this Congress as well.
It wasn't personal, Jan.
You and I, a lot of people have said blood pressure game, and every time.
Oh yeah,
who's got the lower blood pressure?
I'm waiting for him to say Ultra MAGA. Listen, he's going to announce he's running tonight. Everybody, I've already had a chance to read most of this.
It's a clear message: fighting for the sake of fighting, power for the sake of power, conflict for the sake of conflict gets us nowhere. That's always been my vision of our country, and I know it's many of yours. To restore the soul of this nation, to rebuild the backbone of America, America's middle class, and to unite the country. We've been sent here to finish the job, in my view. For decades, the middle class has been hollowed out in more than, and not no one administration, but for a long time. Too many good-paying manufacturing jobs move overseas. Factories closed down. Once thriving cities and towns that many of you represent became shadows of what they used to be. And along the way, something else we lost. Pride. our sense of self-worth. I ran for
Maybe
president
you
to
did.
fundamentally change things,
Yeah, always
to make sure our economy works for everyone, so we can all feel that pride in what we do. To build an economy from the bottom up and the middle out, not from the top down. Because when the middle class does well, the poor have a ladder up, and the wealthy still do very well. We all do well.
While they're clapping,
I know a lot of you always
giving
kid me
everyone
for always quoting my dad, but my dad used to say, Joey, a job's about a lot more than a paycheck. He really would say this. It's about a lot more than a paycheck. It's about your dignity. It's about respect. It's about being able to look your kid in the eye and say, honey, it's going to be okay, and mean it.
I don't call my kid honey.
Well, folks,
the boy.
So let's look at the results. We're not finished yet by any stretch of the imagination, but unemployment rate is at 3.4%, a 50-year low.
Oh, you're going to brag now. Oh, I said don't do it. Don't brag.
Near record unemployment.
Help me with the lies and truth, buddy.
He has to conclude this with the state of the nation is strong.
We've already created, your help, 800,000 good-paying manufacturing jobs, the fastest growth in 40 years.
Lie. We're on 7 lies.
And where is it written?
Oh, pardon me. That's what I think about this.
America can lead the world in manufacturing. And I don't know where that's written. For too many decades, we imported
Obama said
exported jobs.
That's who said it.
Now, thanks to what you've all done, we're exporting American products and creating American jobs. Folks, inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chain.
Here we go. 8.
Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies.
Oh, really?
Grain in Ukraine.
There's a lie.
But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. But we have more to do. But here at home, inflation is coming down. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down. Not fast enough, but coming down. Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up. Additionally, over the last 2 years, a record 10 million Americans applied to start new businesses. 10 million.
And how many of those are paying interest rates that are so fucking exuberant that they'll get destroyed by the bubble in 3 years?
Every time someone starts a small business is an act of hope. And Madam
An
Vice
angel
President,
gets its wings.
Thank you for leading that effort to ensure that small businesses have access to capital and the historic laws we enacted that are going to just come into being.
We don't have any capital.
Standing here last year, I shared with you a story of American genius and possibilities. Semiconductors, small computer chips the size of a fingerprint that power everything, from cell phones to automobiles and so much more. These chips were invented
semiconductors
in
don't
America.
power phones.
Let's get that
Give
straight.
them a lie on that one. There's a lie.
We used to make 40% of the world's chips. In the last several decades, we lost our edge. We're down to only producing 10%. We all saw what happened during the pandemic when chip factories shut down overseas. Today's automobiles need 3,000 chips, each of those automobiles. But American automobiles couldn't make enough cars because there weren't enough chips. Car prices went up, people got laid off. So did everything from refrigerators to cell phones.
We were actually rebounding under Trump with automobiles. That's a lie.
That's why we came together to pass the Bipartisan Chips and Science Act.
They're going to bring back chips? Eric Estrada. Eric Estrada's awesome. Dun, 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 dun.
Who's the other guy?
I know I've been criticized for
something Cox, right?
I'm not changing my view.
Yeah, something like that.
We're going to make sure the supply chain for America begins in America.
Define supply chain.
Begins in America.
How?
How the fuck is it going to start?
How?
He must think we have all sorts of precious metals.
800,000 new manufacturing jobs without this law, before the law kicks in. With this new law, we're going to create hundreds of thousands of new jobs across the country. And I mean all across the country, throughout not just the coast, but through the middle of the country as well.
How?
That's going to come from companies that have announced more than $300 billion in investment in American manufacturing over the next few years.
Well, that's true.
Outside of Columbus, Ohio, Intel is building semiconductor factories on 1,000 acres, literally a field of dreams. It's going to create 10,000 jobs. That one
You had nothing to do with it, but it's true.
7,000 construction jobs, 3,000 jobs in those factories once they're finished. They call them factories. Jobs paying an average of $130,000 a year.
Bullshit.
Do not
that's not
lying motherfucker. You're full of shit. You're lying, you son of a $130,000, my brown pucker.
Because we work together, these jobs where people don't have to leave home to search for opportunity. And it's just getting started. Think about the new homes,
Do you like the
small
gifts
businesses, the medium-sized businesses. So much more that's going to be needed to support those 3,000 permanent jobs and the factories that are going to be built. Talk to mayors and governors, Democrats and Republicans, and they'll tell you what this means for their communities. We're seeing these field of dreams transform to the heartland. But to maintain the strongest economy in the world, we need the best infrastructure in the world.
I thought you already did that. I thought you already passed infrastructure. Fuck you, Buttigieg. Sit down, you gimp.
God, I hope McCarthy tears up the speech at the end.
No, I don't want that.
13th in the world.
I want to see Huckabee.
13th in the world in infrastructure, modern infrastructure.
Well, okay, there's your lie. Why didn't your bill do something about that? Remember that 1.7 trillion fucking dollars, where what 26% of it went to infrastructure that we still haven't even seen move forward? Liar.
Nothing.
Trash. Fiber optics are going to get better, right?
Already we've funded over 20,000 projects, including major airports from Boston to Atlanta to Portland.
Yeah.
Salmon
studies in Oregon and Washington worth $1 billion.
Our railroads, our tunnels, ports, airports, clean water, high-speed internet, all across America.
Where?
Urban, rural,
Lion,
tribal.
son of a
and folks,
motherless.
We're just getting started.
We're just getting started.
With the lies. With the lies.
Bullshit.
And I mean it sincerely. Republican friends who voted for the law.
Oh,
and my Republican friends who voted against it as well. But I still get asked to fund the projects in those districts as well. But don't worry. I promised I'd be a president for all Americans. We'll fund these projects. And I'll see you at the groundbreaking.
This fucking guy. This fucking guy. Here it is. There's the Biden grin.
America.
Yeah.
Projects like Brent Spence Bridge in Kentucky over the Ohio River, built 60 years ago. Badly needed repairs. One of the nation's most congested freight routes, carrying $2 billion worth of freight every single day across the Ohio River. And folks, we've been talking about fixing it for decades, but we're really finally going to get it done.
So the federal government is working on state issues now?
Democrats and Republicans, and from both states, to deliver a commitment of $1.6 billion for this project.
I pay $236 a month for my internet.
And while I was there,
so the federal government is going to now supply funds for dredging.
Who's here tonight? I don't know where Sarah is. Is she up in the box? I don't know. Sarah, how are you? Well, Sarah, for 30 years, I learned, she told me she'd been a proud member of the Iron Workers Local 44, known as...
He cares about the iron workers now?
The Cowboys in the Sky.
Is that after or before you lifted the tariffs on Chinese steel? Is this before or after he lifted the tariffs on Chinese steel?
Be 10 stories above the Ohio River,
building that
former
pipeline
God
workers.
Bless her.
This is Mr. I'm going to shut down energy and then does it.
Pride. Look, we're also replacing poisonous lead pipes that go into 10 million homes in America, 400,000 school and child care centers. So every child in America can drink the water instead of having permanent damage to their brain. Look,
he should know.
Like
Why isn't this the state's responsibility, Leroy?
We should check.
Sure.
Yeah, that's an excellent question. We should check his lead level.
Every community in America has access to affordable high-speed internet. No
Bullshit.
parent should have to drive by McDonald's parking lot to help them do their homework online with their kids.
Bullshit.
Which many
no
American
parent should be feeding their kid McDonald's.
And when we do
that's
these
what you should be saying.
And again, I get criticized for this, but I make no excuses for it. We're going to buy American. We're going to buy American. Folks.
This guy is just full of it, man. It's just, it's not everything's negative, but gosh darn it, dude.
It's totally consistent with international trade rules. Buy America has been the law since 1933, but for too long, past administrations, Democrat and Republican, have fought to get around it. Not anymore. Tonight, I'm announcing new standards that require all construction materials used in federal infrastructure projects to be made in America.
Oh, so it sounds like
made in America.
Bigger government, huh?
I mean it.
Is that what I'm hearing? Bigger government?
What if it's cheaper elsewhere?
Lumber, glass, drywall, fiber optic cable. And on my watch, American roads, bridges, and American highways are going to be made
very
with American
nationalistic,
as well.
doesn't it?
It sounds
Folks,
very. Why don't we just do one vehicle, one choice for power? This sounds fantastic. That sounds like Russia.
So many of you listening tonight.
Maybe he's going to announce
feel it.
building of the
So many of you
car.
felt like you've just simply been forgotten.
So do you think it's
Maybe
DeWalt,
economic upheaval
Milwaukee?
The past 4 decades.
What about
Too many
Nikita?
people
They have
been
cheap.
left behind and treated like they're invisible. Maybe that's you watching from home. Remember the jobs that went away. You remember them, don't you?
I remember 51 million
Folks at home
Americans,
remember them.
71 million
We
Americans
wonder
being
whether the
marginalized
past
as
even exists
neo-Nazis
anymore
and ultra
for your
MAGA
children to
supporters.
get
Are you
ahead
talking about those people?
without having to move away.
I think he's
Well,
got
that's
to include
why
him.
I get that. That's why we're building an economy where no one's left behind.
Nobody.
Jobs are
Everybody
coming
gets
back.
something of nothing.
Pride is coming back because choices we made in the last several years. This is, in my view, a blue-collar blueprint to rebuild America and make a real difference in your lives at home. For example, too many of you lay in bed at night like
Ever
my dad
worked
did,
outside of government?
staring at the ceiling,
How the hell would
wondering
you know?
what in God names happens if your spouse gets cancer or your child gets deadly ill. Or something happens to you. What are you going to have? You get money to pay for those medical bills? Or are you going to have to sell the house or try to get a second mortgage on it?
What's he going to do?
I
Is he going
get
to forgive medical bills now like he didn't do on student
The
loans?
Inflation Reduction Act
Well, just
that I
pass
signed
that along
into
to the
law,
taxpayer as well.
we're taking on powerful interest to bring healthcare costs down
How?
so you can sleep better at night
How?
with more security.
How?
We pay
Bigger
more
government.
for prescription drugs than any nation in the world. Let me say it again.
It's because we develop them,
We pay more for
dipshit.
prescription drugs than any major nation on
R&D
earth.
costs a fuck ton.
For example, 1 in 10 Americans has diabetes.
I'm not going to defend Big Pharma, but
Many of you in this chamber do, and in the audience. But every day, millions need insulin to control their diabetes
yeah, that's true.
so they can literally stay alive.
Well, we
was
already
handled
fixed it.
under the
Insulin's
last
been around for over
administration.
100
Exactly.
That's the one you
Trump did
canceled and then
The guy
rewrote. You know what?
didn't
I gave you a truth,
exactly.
and now
Exactly.
I got to take it back and give you a 3.5.
It costs the drug
Jackass.
companies roughly $10 a vial to make that insulin. Package it and all. You
Yeah,
may get
but
up
it used to
$13.
cost him $1,000 a
But
fucking
Big
vial.
Pharma has been unfairly charging people hundreds of dollars, $400 to $500 a month, making record profits. Not anymore.
It's been that way
We don't
for
want
frickin'
those
4
profits.
years. You can't make a profit in America anymore, folks. Leroy, your camera is fuzzy.
So many things that we did are only now coming to fruition. We said we were doing this, and we said we passed the law to do it, but people didn't know because the law didn't take effect until January 1 of this year. We capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month for seniors on Medicare.
Trump already did that. You just extended Trump's plan and took credit for it. Now I'm going to give you a full lie. Now I got to give you a full like because you did it twice.
I'm sure you're getting the same calls I'm getting.
I'm going to reset my camera real quick.
Look, there are millions of other Americans who do not or are not on Medicare, including 200,000 young people.
Bernie's wearing a mask.
Need this insulin to stay alive.
It's for them, not us.
Let's finish the job this time. Let's cap the cost of insulin for everybody at $35.
Okay. And let's go ahead and just make power for free and healthcare. And let's go ahead and just tax your employer and you don't have to pay taxes anymore. We'll give you college for free too. Let's just hurt small business even more.
The big pharma's still going to do very well, I promise y'all. I promise you they're going to do very well.
I promise. Lie.
This law also caps and won't even go into effect until 2025. Costs, out-of-pocket drug costs for seniors on Medicare at a maximum of $2,000 a year. You don't have to pay more than $2,000 a year, no matter how much your drug costs are. Because you know
Can't
why?
hear you now.
You all know it. Many of you, like many in my family, have cancer. You know the drugs can range from $10,000, $11,000, $14,000, $15,000 for the cancer drugs. If drug prices rise faster than inflation, drug companies are going to have to pay Medicare back the difference. Or finally,
whoa, you're going to penalize people for government's mistakes?
The power to negotiate drug prices. Bringing down prescription drug costs doesn't just save seniors money. It cuts the federal deficit by billions of dollars. By hundreds of billions of dollars.
So we can give it to Ukraine.
These prescription drugs are drugs purchased by
We'll be able to
Medicare
fund more pond frog
keep the
studies.
commitment to the seniors.
Salmon.
Well, guess what?
Salmon spawning.
Instead of paying $400 or $500 a month, you're paying $15. That's a lot of savings for the federal government. And by the way, why wouldn't we want that? Now, some members here are threatening, and I know it's not an official party position, so I'm going to exaggerate.
Yeah, you better not.
But threatening to repeal the Inflation Reduction Act. As my coach.
That's bullshit.
That's okay.
That's bullshit. You just said it was bullshit. You said it anyway.
As my football coach used to say, lots of luck in your senior year. Make no mistake. If you try anything to raise the cost of prescription drugs, I will veto it.
Restriction drugs? Oh, this fucking guy. This guy.
Look,
If inflation was already coming down, then why pass the act to begin with?
Ridiculous.
I'm pleased to say that more Americans have health insurance now than ever in
Prescription
history.
jugs.
A record 16 million people.
I just want to let you know this is the
Affordable
president of
Care
the
Act.
United fucking
And
States.
thanks
Okay? He's
to
the
the
president of the
Lord
United States, and I have a freaking audio clip of him trying to say prescription drug, Plesky and plugs, prescription drugs.
Prescription jugs.
Jugs?
Yeah.
Prescription
I love
jugs.
And he just did it again. This guy, seriously, man. Seriously, it's a neuron pathway disorder. If you keep screwing up on the same words repeatedly with months in between, it's a learning issue. It's a neuron pathway issue. It's a degenerative condition.
The law I signed last year, saving millions, or saving $800 a year on their premiums. And by the way, that law was written and the benefit expires in 2025. So my plea to some of you, at least in this audience, let's finish the job and make these savings permanent. Expand coverage of Medicaid.
Which seal was clapping? Did they show Crenshaw? Holy crap. Kristen Sinema, seriously?
Look, the Inflation Reduction Act is also the most significant investment ever in climate change. Ever.
Kristen Sinema looks like a freaking
Lower utility bills.
a kumquat that's been peeled.
Leading the world to a clean energy future. I visited the devastating aftermath of record floods, droughts, storms, and wildfires from Arizona to Mexico to all the way up to the Canadian border. More timber has been burned, that I've observed from helicopters, than the entire state of Missouri. And we don't have global warming? Not a problem.
Oh,
In addition to emergency
fires are now
recovery
global warming,
from
right?
Puerto Rico to Florida,
not us.
Idaho,
California has been on
term.
fire perpetually
New
for its
electric
entire
grids that
existence.
are able to weather major
Because of
It's a
their
high-
policies.
prevent those
It's a high
forest
fucking
fires.
desert. Democrats
and
took
water
over in the
systems
80s,
withstand
and
the
there's
next big
fires
flood.
every hundreds of
Clean
them.
energy to cut pollution
They
and create
refuse
jobs
to
in
cut shit
communities
down.
often left behind.
We got to
We're gonna build
preserve the sagebrush.
500,000 electric vehicle charging stations installed that'll cross
No,
the
you
country.
said you were gonna do that a year and a half
Tens of
ago.
thousands of
You're such a
IBEW
liar.
workers.
That's a liar.
And we're helping families save more than $1,000 a year with tax credits to purchase electric vehicles and efficient appliances.
Why don't you just
energy-efficient
tax them less?
appliances. Historic conservation efforts to be
You guys make sure to
responsible
like,
stewards
share, and
of our
subscribe.
land.
Hit the like button, heart
Let's
button.
face
Get this out
reality.
there. Let's get
Climate
this going
crisis
tonight. We
doesn't
got
care if
170
you're
on.
in
Let's
a
get more
red
on.
or
Let's go.
blue state. It's an
Hit that like
existential
button.
threat.
Love, like, spam it.
We have an obligation not to
Stop
ourselves,
hitting the
but to our
angry
children and
faces. Angry
grandchildren
faces
to
hurt the
confront it.
hurt the feed.
I'm proud of how
This is about us, not Joe Biden.
America at
Stop
last is
spamming the
stepping
negative
up to the
stuff.
challenge. We're still going to need oil and gas for a while. But guess what?
Like another 100 years.
But there's so much more to do. We got to finish the job. And we pay for these
What
investments in our
job?
future by finally making the wealthiest and biggest
Killing the
corporations
oil industry?
begin to pay their fair share.
Well, here he goes again with fair
my
share.
God.
God, I want to give him some truth.
Again,
What's the fair share look like?
What it? Yeah.
How much?
What is my
90%?
fair
Is that what
share
it
of
looks like,
somebody
Bernie?
else has
Look, I'm
learned?
a capitalist. I'm a capitalist, but pay your
You're
fair
not
share.
capitalist. You're a
Bullshit,
fucking
you're a
socialist.
capitalist.
I think a lot
don't
of you
sound
at
like it.
home, a lot of you at home agree with me and many people that you know the tax system is not fair. It is not fair.
It's not fair. It's a
what
percentage of
shit
your
is
income. Life isn't fair.
Look, the idea that in 2020,
Half of that room
55 of the
standing.
largest corporations in America, the Fortune 500, made $40 billion in profits and
Good.
paid zero in federal taxes?
Yeah,
Zero?
federal taxes, but not
Close.
state and income.
It's simply not fair.
Shut up, Elizabeth
But
Warren.
now,
Fucking
because of the law I
Pocahontas.
signed,
Shouldn't she be at a powwow?
billion-dollar companies have to pay a minimum of 15%. God love them.
Two lies.
15%.
Two lies.
That's less than
So who
the
pays
rest.
Bullshit.
those taxes? Do the companies pay their taxes, or do they? Just
How many of
pass
those
it on?
employees pay
Let me be crystal
trillions
clear. I said at the
over
very
their
beginning,
lifetime?
Under my plans, as long as I'm president, nobody earning less than $400,000 will pay an additional penny in taxes. Nobody.
just
I already
proved that
paid
wrong.
more this year. Why?
But let's finish the job.
If you're going to charge
There's more to do.
Apple that much more to
We
conduct
have to
business, that means my
reward
next
work, not just
iPhone is going
wealth.
to cost me about $1,200.
Pass my proposal for the billionaire minimum tax. You know, there's 1,000 billionaires in America. It's up from about 600 in the beginning of the term. But no billionaire
Tax the rich,
should be
buddy.
paying a lower tax rate than a school teacher or firefighter. I mean,
Why?
think about it.
They put more into this. Oh, God, dude. This fucking guy. 1970 called and they want their fucking policy back.
Well, I mean,
You can't balance the
gas
budget on what we
Think
give
about
you
that.
already
Think
and you
about
want more?
Think about it. Have you noticed Big Oil just reported its profits, record profits?
don't worry
Last
about
year
their
they
profits.
made $200 billion in the midst of a global energy crisis.
You made 30.3 trillion and you wasted
it's
every
outrageous.
fucking, you still have a deficit.
Why?
Who are you to go
They
ahead and
invested
point your
too little
finger?
of that profit increased domestic production. And when I talk to a couple of them, they say, we're afraid you're going to shut down all the oil wells and all the oil refineries anyway, so why should we invest in them? I said, we're going to need oil for at least another decade. And that's going to exceed. And beyond
Listen,
that,
everybody. Listen, everybody
we're gonna
laugh.
need it. Production.
Such an idiot.
If they
A
had, in
decade.
fact, invested
He's going
in
to cure
production
cancer in a
keep
decade
gas
too,
prices
folks. Just
down.
wait.
Instead, they use the record
Use oil.
profits to buy
Stop
back
hitting
their
the
own
anger
stock.
button. This
Rewarding
isn't
the
Joe
CEOs
Biden's
and
feed. It's my feed. Hit the love and like,
Corporations ought to do the
please.
right
Not the
thing.
anger button.
That's
Be
why
mad
I
at him
propose we
on his own
quadruple the
shit.
tax
This is
on
our
corporate
feed.
Stock buybacks and encourage long-term investments. They'll still make considerable profit.
That's it. You attack that profit. Profit's
Kill
bad,
profit.
right?
Marginalize America, Joe.
Avoid paying their taxes. Instead of cutting the number of audits for wealthy taxpayers, I just signed a law to reduce the deficit by $114 billion by cracking down on wealthy.
How much did Amazon make during COVID? Are you complaining about that?
Blaming the wealthy.
Why don't you blame Amazon? You know how much they made?
In the last 2 years, my administration has cut the deficit by more than $1.7 trillion.
Bullshit, because you overspent. That's a debt. It's a fake number.
The American deficit went up 4 years in a row.
It's a lie.
Because those record deficits, no president added more to the national debt in any 4 years than my predecessor.
That's bullshit.
25%.
Okay, folks, you know what? I'm fucking done with this for a second. Here's you know what? Fuck this fucking guy. Here's the truth. Okay? Yes, Donald Trump spent the most out of any president in modern day history. He also made more than any other president in modern day history. So when you make more, you spend more. And if Donald Trump wasn't in office during COVID, with the money that he spent, and it was this fucking Yahoo, we would have spent fucking $15 trillion. Donald Trump is only ranked the number 10 out of all the presidents, number 10 in debt to the deficit compared to profit that we brought in from a GNP standpoint. Donald Trump's only 10. You want to know who number 1 is? Anybody want to guess who number 1 is? Give me a guess.
Was it Barack?
Barack Obama, Ronald Reagan, Bush, Clinton, and we can go on and on and on. Now Biden has entered the top 10. So it's not fair to sit here and tell half the story.
Right.
This is the guy that brags about kissing a girl who happens to be his sister. He only tells half the fucking story. Yes, Donald Trump spent more than any modern day president. He also made more than any modern day president. So when you make more money, you can spend more money. And that's not a deficit, dipshit.
Part of that.
He didn't add to the deficit. Look where Donald Trump was at $27.6 trillion. And then after getting forced to put $4.3 trillion through COVID in 3 different bills, still was sub 30 trillion. How's that fucking possible? Because it wasn't a deficit spend. This is the problem with guys like this. This is the problem with America and Democrats. I did a show on this tonight because people can't comprehend. Go look it up. Donald Trump most assuredly spent more than any other president. He also made more. And he's number 10. And there's more freaking rhino Republicans and fucking bleeding heart liberals in front of him, including this guy.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
200 years to accumulate.
Sorry,
was
I got
added
mad.
by just one administration alone, the last one.
Sorry.
They're the
My
facts.
language,
Check it
sorry.
Yeah, just be frustrated. It's all right.
Check it out. 25% of the entire national debt that took over 200 years to accumulate was added by just one administration alone, the last one. They're the facts. Check it out.
It's a lie.
Check it out.
Look at everybody.
Check it out.
How did Congress respond to that debt?
Lie.
They did the right
You spent
thing.
it.
They lifted the debt ceiling 3 times.
Who ran
without
that
taking
Congress,
this as a
you
crisis.
fucking twat?
They paid American bills to prevent
I'm sorry.
an economic disaster in the country.
This is why I'll never be syndicated. This is why I'll never get a fucking a nationally syndicated show. I just called the President of the United States a twat.
The United States of America will never
It's lying.
question.
Who ran the House? Who ran the Senate?
Some of my Republican
Who ran
friends
it? Who has control
wanna
of
take the
spending for the
economy
US
hostage, I
government?
get
The
it.
House, not the President of the
Unless I
United
agree with
States,
their
you
economic
jackass.
All of you at home should know what those plans are. Instead of making the wealthy pay their fair share, some Republicans want Medicare and Social Security to sunset. I'm not saying it's a majority.
That's
It's a
not
lie.
true.
It's not true. Complete blatant lie.
Let me give you anybody who
Completely lie. Look at these guys. They're
Just
just
shit, motherfucker.
I'll give you a copy
Dude, I fucking love the Republicans
Every
disrespecting him.
vote.
Like, it is awesome. Just don't stop. Every time he lies, fucking boo him off the stage. It's never been done before. This doesn't happen, folks. This does not happen in the State of the Union.
She's mouthing off.
I'm
I
not
love
saying
it.
it's a majority of you. I don't even think it's even a significant.
Then watch your
But it's being
fucking mouth when you
proposed by
say shit like
individuals.
that.
I'm not politely not naming them, but it's being proposed by some of you.
No, it's not.
No, it's not.
No.
You're a liar. Dude,
Lying
people fight him.
sack of shit.
Good for the Republicans. Good for them. Take this whole shit show and burn it to the
We're
ground.
not going to be moved into being threatened to default on the debt if
You're
we don't
such
respond.
a putz. You can't even stand up there and lie effectively. Look at these. Everyone knows this is bullshit. This is supposed to unite the country. This is the big unifying speech. This is exactly what we're going to get for the next 2 years. This is all they do.
So, folks,
Lie.
as we all apparently agree, Social Security and Medicare is off the
piece
books
of shit.
now, right? They're not to be stopped. All right. I'm ready. We got unanimity.
It's not like it was decided in that
Social
moment.
Security,
Not a
Medicare,
single
Lifeline for
Republican
millions of
had
seniors.
proposed
Americans
that.
have to pay into them from the very first paycheck they started. So tonight, let's all agree. And apparently
Good for the
Let's
frickin'
stand up for
Republicans.
seniors.
Screw decorum. This isn't powdered wig England. Start standing up. This is where you do it. These Republicans need to finally shut this shit up. I'm done with it.
Security.
Doesn't
We will
matter
not
their
cut
position in
Medicare.
life. When you know that they're lying to your face,
Those
you call it
benefits
out.
belong to the American
Fucking
people. They earned it.
bullshit,
And if
man.
anyone
Good for the
tries to cut
Republicans.
Social Security, which
And they should
apparently
boo
no one's
more.
gonna do,
Every time he lies, boo his ass.
and if anyone tries to cut Medicare, I'll stop them. I'll veto it. And look, I'm not going to allow
And then
them to
you'll
take
go ahead and
away-
no, forget it.
Be
I'm not gonna
taken
say it.
away. Not today, not tomorrow, not ever. But apparently it's not going to be a problem. Next month, when I offer my fiscal plan, I ask my Republican friends to lay down their plan as well. I really mean it. Let's sit down together. and
Oh, yeah.
discuss our
Let's go
mutual
ahead and
plans
sing
together.
Kumbaya. You just told every older person in America that Republicans want to cut your Social Security, which is a complete blatant fucking lie.
Right.
I can tell you, the plan I'm going to show you is going to cut the deficit by another $2 trillion. And it won't cut
how
a
much are you
single
gonna
bit of
spend?
Medicare or Social
How much are you
Security. In
going to
fact,
spend?
we're
That's the
extending
problem. You can
Medicare
cut
trust
all
fund
you
at
want, but if
least
you
2
continue to
decades. That's gonna
overspend,
be the
you're
next
not
one. How do we
cutting.
keep it solid,
I'm going to
right?
go ahead and not
Well,
eat for 2
we'll not
days,
raise
and
taxes
then I'm
on
going
making
to eat
under
4
400
large
grand,
pizzas,
but
7 gallons of fucking
we'll
ice
pay
cream,
for it
and
the
a small
way we talked
cow.
about tonight by
Look at the
making sure
benefit to
wealthy
my
big
body.
corporations pay their fair share. Look,
Full of shit.
Look, here's the deal.
Sorry.
They aren't just taking advantage of the tax code. They're taking advantage of you, the American consumer.
You're the one that wrote
Here's
it.
my message to all of you out there. I have your back. We're already preventing Americans from
your
receiving
back.
surprise medical bills, stopping $1 billion surprise bills
He meant
per
to
month
say was
so
the
far.
government is on your back.
We're protecting
That's true. I just gave him the truth.
seniors' life savings
The medical billing.
by cracking down on nursing homes that commit fraud, endanger patient safety, prescribe drugs that are not needed. Millions of Americans can now save thousands of dollars because they can finally get a hearing aid over the counter without a prescription.
Yeah, they could have went to Walmart and got the same thing.
Well, that's just
Capitalism
capitalism.
without competition is not capitalism.
That's the private sector
It's
working.
Extortion.
Yeah.
It's
Now that
exploitation.
you regulated it, thank
Last
God.
year, I cracked down with the help of many of you on foreign shipping companies that were making you pay higher prices for every good coming into the country.
That's true.
I
You did
signed a
that.
bipartisan bill that cut shipping costs by 90%, helping American farmers, businessmen, and consumers. Let's
do that.
finish the job. Pass the bipartisan legislation to strengthen antitrust enforcement and prevent big online platforms from giving their own products
And
an
you
unfair
understood about
advantage.
5 of those words.
No, but listen, he did say a couple truths there. I mean, he hasn't done everything wrong, but it's
My administration is
any
also
good he
taking
does
out
is
junk
surpassed
fees.
by all his fuck ups.
Those hidden surcharges too many companies use to make you pay more. For example,
Well, that's
we're
because of
making
your
airlines
frickin'
show you the full ticket price up front, refund your money if your flight is canceled or delayed. We've reduced
Don't interfere
exorbitant
with
You haven't done that. You don't need to do that.
by saving consumers
That's what the
more than
FAA
$1
is for. Why the
billion
fuck do
a
you need to
year.
get involved?
We're cutting credit card late fees by 75% from $30
Oh my
to
Who pays for that? Who pays for that? Where did my $35,000 on my credit card go that I can't pay off? I've called my credit card company. We put it off for 9 months and we asked all of our bills, please, I've lost my job. It's COVID. We're going to pay it all back. We just need a 9-month hiatus. Chase didn't do it. Every other company did. Everyone's been paid in full less than a year and 2 months later. Chase is the only one. I've tried to pay them back. They wrote off $35,000 in debt. It did not hit my credit in any way, shape, or form. I don't have an early write-off. I have no penalty. My credit score stayed the same. I've tried to write them a check paying it off, and they will not let me pay it. Who paid that? Who paid that? Guarantee it's your tax dollars. I guarantee it. He wants to do the same thing. He's just saying the quiet part out loud now.
They add up to hundreds of dollars a month. They make it harder for you to pay your bills or afford that family
They're your
trip.
bills. Don't freaking go ahead and accumulate the bills if
when
you're
a
not going to
company
pay it. Of
overcharges
course
you,
they're
you
hard.
lose
It's called
it.
life.
Not anymore.
He's going to make your
We've
life
written a
not
bill
hard
to
anymore.
stop
No
it
more
all.
bills,
It's called
folks.
the Junk Fee Prevention Act.
Well, if
We're going
there's
to
no
ban
bills, I don't
surprise
have to
resort
worry.
fees that hotels charge on your bill. Those fees can cost you up to $90 a night at hotels that aren't even resorts. The idea that cable.
So let me make
internet,
sure I
and cell
understand
phone
this.
companies-
If any company decides to charge for their service and they don't agree with it,
Right.
those people will be penalized, or our taxes are going to go ahead and give people money back. So we get penalized for some place that we didn't even fucking stay in.
Exactly.
So let me get this straight. I got to pay for somebody else's education. I got to pay for their food. I got to pay for their baby formula. I got to pay for their abortions. And now I got to fucking pay for their hotel stays and for vacation. Why don't you just do me a favor and give me a fucking vasectomy and let me fucking go ahead and get one and have me pay for it too?
Whoa. Easy. They're just going to print more. You don't have to pay your tax money. They're just going to print more
These
of
things
it.
get me fired.
They're going to print more money. You don't have to pay your taxes.
This is my Super Bowl. This is the way I react to sports. I get pissed off at this thing. I hate this fucking thing. I think it is the dumbest waste of time, complete propaganda. This is from the days of powdered wigs in England. We should fucking strike a match to this place.
Ooh,
this is fucking old King George shit. It's pomp and circumstance, Leroy. It's a waste of fucking time.
It is.
Pardon my French.
That's politics.
Oh, getting fired up. Sorry.
The cable, internet, and cell phone companies can charge you $200 or more if you decide.
Then lay the cable for them. Why don't you pay their freaking unemployment? Why don't you pay their
for the better quality?
Why don't you pay them for everything that they do? We can make it a government entity like Southern California Edison and have one cable company with one price like communist Russia.
$50 round trip for family
Jackass.
just to be able to sit together. Baggage fees are bad enough. Airlines can't treat your child like a piece of baggage. Americans are tired of being. We're tired of being played for suckers.
What?
So pass.
Okay. Folks, I'm going to say this and Leroy is going to be like zing and ding. What the Democrats are saying, and I want to make sure I decipher all this gibberish that you're hearing right now, all this country mountain gibberish. Gabby Johnson is right about Gabby Johnson being right.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to, anyway, we're ready to get a lot done.
All right, so I've got 200 some odd people on. Please don't leave because I'm going to tell you right now, this is the only place you're going to hear this. You're going to hear this is his reelection campaign. That's what this is. It's an informal rally. This is the worst State of the Union period ever, fucking period, I've ever heard. I've listened to all of them. I've went back and read every State of the Union throughout U.S. history. I've either heard it or read it. And some are good and some are bad. And this is the biggest pile of shit I've ever heard. Hands down. Now, let me tell you what he's saying. People are going to say it's about reelection. It's about going after the Republicans. It's about, calling out the division and scaring the public into vote. No, this is what the Democratic Party is doing. And I want you to listen to me really carefully here because nobody else is going to say this. But Leroy's going to know what I mean right when I say it. Democrats are going back to their old root, slavery.
Absolutely.
They want you to work for free. They want to tell you that you have to do what they say, and if you don't offer it for a price that they like, you're going to do it anyway, or you're going to be punished. Folks, that's not a free market. That's not freaking paid labor. That is slavery. You can't tell a doctor that he has to give his services away for free. You can't tell an airline that they have to put kids in seats for free and give up a $350 ticket because you had kids and that's your fault and not the fucking airline. If you didn't want to pay for your kids, then you should have had a fucking poodle and it could have been stuck underneath your feet or shoved up your ass.
I will say this.
Leroy, you hear what I'm saying. I'm not, listen, you hear what I'm saying. I'm not talking about plantation working in chains. I'm talking about no longer paying for free labor. You get this.
Absolutely. And here's how we can wrap this up, because as I'm listening to this, and I understand what you're saying, but what I'm hearing is that every point that he has made is talking about trying to increase the wages for an American worker, bring down the costs for every worker, for every citizen in the United States, but he's also made it abundantly clear that he is targeting corporations and companies. He wants to charge them more in taxes. So it's this, who the hell, they're going to take away all of the profits from the company, right? And he's going to make sure that the people somehow get that. I just don't see, that is exactly the type of government that we escaped.
He didn't even mention the people, ago. Leroy. He specifically said giving the government breaks against the deficit, paying the government back. This guy is specifically saying not giving it to the people. It's helping the government do their supposed job by increasing overall monies versus them balancing the budget and doing what we hired them to do. This is the most progressive socialist bullshit that I have ever heard spewed from the leader of the free world. God. Ever. I've never heard anything like this in my entire life of politics. Ever. I've never even heard Bernie Sanders. I'm going to say it right now. I'd rather have Bernie Sanders up there than him.
With the inflation.
At least you're not going to be surprised with Bernie Sanders. You're going to know what you're going to fucking get. He's going to try to go to socialism. This guy is a pseudo liberal. He's not a liberal. He's not a blue collar Democrat. He is an absolute progressive fucking socialist through and through. And tonight is his coming out party to be the leftist, most left-leaning president ever in U.S. history. Go ahead, Leroy.
Absolutely. Well, and what I was going to say was the only way for all of that to happen is to literally crush, under literally the force of government, every corporation and company, right? To wipe away their profits effectively, to manage how they do business to the point of, we already know that his idea was to monitor anything more than, $600 in and out of everyone's account. So this wouldn't be a far stretch. So when we're talking about the level of government that would be required to manage everything like that, that is exactly the definition of socialism.
That's absolutely
bad.
Bad. You're talking about the private, you're talking about killing private businesses. Yes. And incorporating government-run business. That's what you're saying. You're saying that the government will oversight all business to be fair and equitable for everyone. First of all, you can't do that because you're telling anything that he tries to do that he's talked about tonight will be struck down by the SCOTUS. I will say it again, the best thing that Donald Trump ever did, the only thing that you should bow down and kiss Donald Trump's feet for, because he's not a king, he's a man. But if you're going to do any of that, it's for what he did by putting these SCOTUSes in place, because this will be protected by what he did. By putting Kavanaugh, by putting Comey Barrett in place, he solidified a generation of fucktards like this that they would not be able to rip up the Constitution of the United States. This guy is standing up there and saying all business will now kowtow to the U.S. government or else. If anyone is not hearing this, then you're not listening. And if every conservative from Shapiro to Crowder to the lowliest podcast, me, if they're not saying this, turn them the fuck off. I don't care whatever conservative you're listening, if they are not saying that this is the move into the free market being dissolved, moving away from capitalism and moving into a progressive socialist wave of having the government oversee all business in the United States, then you have not been listening to the same State of the Union I have. I don't need to listen any further. Because that everything he said is, how do we save the US government money? How do we create more government control? How do we remove freedom from private businesses and small business by regulating you to death or else? Who didn't hear that?
Well, that's always been the Democrat philosophy, right? Whenever we hear we the people, we think the citizenry. When that guy says we the people, he means the government.
It means the government. The government. It's not we the people. There's no we. Instead of we the people, it's the government. There's no people. Right. There's no we. There's no unity. It is collectivism and populism at its finest. And you know what? I'm going to be absolutely fucking shocked if this guy doesn't talk about the monetary system, that we need to move away from paper currency, and you'll hear digital currency somewhere in this conversation. I don't know, but something tells me that that's coming up. Because there's too much waste for the government in paper currency. And if you can monitor digital monies, they have more control of you. We learned this with PayPal. PayPal threatened to clear out my account. I get $26,000 in there. And they're like, if you say things that are not approved by us and we disagree with, we're gonna fucking penalize you. That's back in place now. I don't know if anyone knew that, but we could seize your bank account.
They did that about three months ago.
This is what digital currency, and then they said, we didn't mean that. It's back in place now. I just moved all my money out of PayPal and I put it into Shopify. Digital currency is the death of freedom in this country. Everyone is like, oh gosh, bit currency and all. You guys are fucking morons. Paper currency is completely useless. I get it. And I understand the amount of waste, but digital currency gives government unfettered control of your money. At least we have the illusion of stock. At least we have the illusion that we can go buy gold and diamonds and antibiotics and somehow live in an apocalypse. With Bitcoin, the power goes out and you're fucking done forever.
Yep.
I'm fired up tonight, Leroy.
For too long, workers have been getting stiffed, but not anymore. We're beginning to restore the dignity of work. For example,
I want to hear. I can't wait for guns too.
This, but I didn't until
By the way, we're going to do all these things, and we're going to take away your guns, so you can't stop it.
Have to sign non-compete agreements.
Guns and currency.
For the
watch.
jobs they take. 30 million. So a cashier at a burger place can't walk across town and take the same job at another burger place and make a few bucks more. It just changed. But they just changed it because we exposed it. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up. But not anymore. We're banning those agreements, so companies have to compete for workers and pay them what they're worth.
Burger flippers are worth what burger flippers are.
Right.
It's never meant to be a career. It's a freaking gateway job. It's to teach you how to shut up and show up on time and do what your boss says.
On my left,
that is something that market-driven pricing,
I'm so
not government
companies breaking the
It's
law
to show you where you don't want to work.
Pass the PRO Act. Because business have a right. Workers have a right to form a union.
Okay, small business has a right as long as it benefits the U.S. government. As long as it moves into unions, we're okay with rights. But if it comes down for you not... Go ahead.
Who the fuck is going to want to open a business under this kind of administration?
This is ridiculous.
Who would do it? Do you know the laundry list of regulations, and now you've got the government basically siding with the workers to say, look, you people need to go after your employer. We know that he's the one paying your bills and everything, but I mean, you need to go after him.
Which is what unions do. Unions give governments more power to regulate. This is the plan, man. Everyone's talking about the New World Order. This is it. This is American policy right here. This is the president. Don't listen to Charles Schwab and all these fucking idiots and whatever the guys in Klaus and whatever. And Bill Gates. Listen to this guy. This is what he wants to do. It's not New World Order. It's not global populism. He wants to expand government so it literally controls everything. He wants to go back to where we already were. We might as well put on powdered fucking wigs and rose up our cheeks and listen to Amadeus and drink some fucking tea. We've already been here. We've done this. They want government. They want big taxes. They want to monopolize small business so the big corporations can run everything. He already said it. He said, we're going to open up giant corporations in the Midwest so we can put all the small businesses, which are the backbone of America, 92% of all businesses, out of business.
Yeah.
Why do you think Walmart aren't being built anymore? Because nobody will vote for them because they are town killers. This guy just said he wants to put major plants in the backbone of America, and every single Republican's asshole should be puckering. Sorry, Leroy, go ahead.
No. You're fine. Listen to this, folks. Okay. We have 200 people on. I want everyone to Google this, right? I want you to look up the number of what percentage of all businesses in America are in fact small businesses. Because I'll tell you, I know that number right now. It's 99%. And what he is advocating for is a string of policies that punish all businesses. 99% of them are small businesses. Who the hell is that going to affect? That's going to affect every person in your development, in your town, in your city. It is those people, the entrepreneurs, who will be most affected by this kind of crap.
What frustrates me more than anything is when I say 92% of all businesses are small business, that's one location or less. There are plenty of small businesses that have multiple entities. It's actually lower than that. It's not 99. It's 92 if single location or less with less than 3 employees. That makes up most of what we have. And he's right. Overall, 99%. It makes up a giant portion. Someone just said, why am I yelling? Why aren't you?
You should be.
What do you mean? Listen to me. Listen to me clearly. There have been some of the greatest sonnets ever written, which are about topics that people don't want to hear. And whether it's music that has vulgarity in it, whether it talks about sex, or whether it talks about interracial relationships, or it talks about whatever, the message can still mean something. There are books. The Bible is one of the most violent books ever written, yet the underlying message is beautiful, and it's about unity and taking care of your fellow man and having belief in something other than yourself. Although there's rape and incest and the trials and tribulations of humanity is on full display in the Bible. You can watch a movie that has blood and guts in it, like Braveheart, and limbs flying off of it, and shows boobs, and shows a woman getting her throat slit, watching a man being disemboweled and having his genitalia ripped apart and posted and quartered across 4 areas of the compass of England, and still see something that is amazing. Just because I'm just because I'm cussing, just because I'm yelling, doesn't mean you should fail to hear the message of what I'm saying. I don't yell very often. This is my Super Bowl. This is important to me. This is like the election. And I get hot when the free, this country that is supposed to be free and is supposed to be honest in this institution and that pulpit. I don't care about all the other people. They've all been crooks forever. But the president of the United States is supposed to hold himself to a higher level and a higher standard. And I have always served and respected that office. When I served under Bill Clinton, I did. When I served under Bush, I did. And I would still, if asked, defend my country under this guy too. What I will not do is allow someone to lie 45 times, blatant, bold-faced lies that I can disprove in a matter of 10 minutes, that you can disprove in the same amount of time by simply researching. And I would ask you the question, why aren't you cussing? We've tried the Christian way. We've tried to pray. We've tried to hold each other's hands and sing Kumbaya. We've tried to change people out and maybe find something fresh and new. None of it's fucking worked. Maybe cussing and yelling is just what we need. Maybe it's time for some people with some balls to stand up and say, no fucking more. I've got almost 200,000 people that I talk to and over 3 million a month. Maybe I'm going to go ahead and use that platform to say no more. So pardon me if your pearls get clutched because I drop a few fuck bombs and yell a little bit. There's plenty of other channels that'll lie to you right now. Go fucking watch them. Leroy, go ahead.
In the late 1970s, I want everyone to listen to me right now. In the late 1970s, there was a great movie called The Newsroom. And at one point, and it was about a particular broadcaster. And by the time you got to the end of the movie, the dude was so fired up with the way media was going that this was the big punchline to the movie. It was, I want all of you to go out to your window, open up your window, and yell outside, I'm mad as hell and I'm not going to take it anymore. That's where Matt is at, folks. That's what we're saying. It's just okay done. To yell. Yes.
I'm done.
I
created a video tonight that showed you the freaking hypocrisy of the left and Democrats. This is on both sides. When Trump stood up there and said things that weren't true, I called him out. Okay. And I saw him do it 3 times. I'm not going to sit here and say that it's even remotely close. Biden is up there blatantly lying, and Republicans are revolted. You have never heard this many boos and jeers from the gallery. Oh, yeah. It doesn't happen. This is a sacred bullshit pageant, but it's one laced in history and decorum. And if you remember, Brobert called out under Biden, and she was chastised, and they wanted to censor her. And they wanted to remove her for challenging. Another Republican did it with, I think it was Cahill. Did it with Obama, and they wanted to remove him. It is unbelievably frowned upon. You have 75% of the Republican Party calling out Biden when he talks.
Absolutely. Because they caught him in a lie.
Multiple lies, and they're blatant lies that are discrediting Republicans. This was supposed to be the unity speech. This is supposed to be, I want to see one Democrat call in, 804-504-1955. Call in and defend this and tell me how this is unity, please. I got to play it. Otherwise, we're going to miss Huckabee.
Let's make sure working parents can afford to raise a family with sick days, paid family medical leave, affordable child care. That's going to enable millions of more people to go and stay at work. And let's restore the full child tax credit. That was part of the deal, guys. Look it up. But not anymore. We're banning those agreements, so companies have to compete for work. We're making progress by reducing student debt, increasing Pell Grants for working and middle-class families. Let's finish the job and connect students to career opportunities starting in high school, provide access to 2 years of community college, the best career training in America in addition to being a pathway to a 4-year degree. Let's offer every American a path to a good career.
I still agree with it. Vocational training is a great thing. Who's going to pay for it?
And folks,
right, that's the problem.
Folks, in the midst of the COVID crisis, when schools were closed,
that you did. And you supported.
We were shutting down everything. Let's recognize how far we came in the fight against the pandemic itself.
Oh, give me a fucking
break.
While
the virus is not gone, thanks to the resilience of the American people and the ingenuity of
virus
medicine,
is known as leftism.
We've broken the COVID grip on us. COVID deaths are down by 90%. We've saved millions of lives and opened up our country. We opened our country back up, and soon we'll end the public health emergency. But
it was over 6 months ago.
That's called a public health emergency. But we'll remember the toll and pain that's never going to go away. More than 1 million Americans lost their lives to COVID. 1 million.
And how many on your watch?
Children.
More than Donald Trump.
Empty chairs at the dining room table constantly reminding you that she used to sit there.
Is this supposed to be about uplifting?
Really? Remembering them. We remain vigilant.
Pulling at the heartstrings.
We still need to monitor dozens of variants and support new vaccines and treatments.
No, we don't.
Congress needs to fund these efforts and keep America safe. And as we emerge from this crisis, stronger, We're also got to double down on prosecuting criminals who stole relief money meant to keep workers and small businesses afloat.
Oh, there's tough on crime. Maybe. Oh, they'll stand for that. We'll stand for some tough on crime.
During that campaign, the big issue was about inspector generals who would protect taxpayers' dollars who were sidelined. They were fired.
I got an idea. How about this? How about I'm going to reinstate all of the intel collection gathering assets against Chinese threats that I recently went ahead and executive ordered out, that Donald Trump put in, so more balloons don't fly over. And then we're going to go ahead and hold China accountable. And we're going ahead and use the United Nations for something that it's actually designed to do, which is to have the nations go ahead and investigate atrocities that happen around the world, like the Congo. And go ahead, the Uyghurs, and actually investigate where COVID came from and start holding China accountable and having the world lean on them like we did Germany. Holy shit, would that be a unifying fucking message instead of we need to build more vaccines? Oh my God, this guy. I can't stand him. I can't stand him. Hold on a second. We got a comment. Charles McKenzie says,
hello,
he's not disrespecting any work, but trying to comparing the pay equality of someone who's dropped out of high school flipping burgers and didn't get any type of technical training, licensing, or training like an EMT, nursing, military service members, police officers. Oh God, that's a lot of stuff of different type of jobs that all pay different types of wages. Not all people get paid equal because all people equally learn how to earn more money. That's called capitalism, not socialism, where everyone makes the same money, whether you're putting your life on the line, building bridges or flipping a burger. There are jobs people hold with applying for better jobs, but they don't get paid the same. You want to pay the same price for a pizza as a brain surgery, so we'll need food insurance. Well, okay, Charles, congratulations on being awake. Well done. It sounded a little, it started off a little weird where I didn't know where you're coming from, but you wrapped it up in the end. Because at the beginning, I'm like, that sounds, dude, you're completely, you sound like you were saying everyone, minimum wage is a good thing and everyone should make the same amount of money because they don't have the same opportunity. I decree bullshit on that. There was times that I was making $7.25 an hour, and guess what? I deserved every penny. And I deserve not one penny more. And there are times in my career where I make it $125 an hour, and I also earn that too. So I don't know what to say.
One's
except that
always goes up in comparison with their age. No doubts about that.
Sure.
Now, people try to make that claim that it's about education, that it's about business, and it's about the market, but it's not. Your income goes up commensurately with your age. That's just how it is. There is more of a relationship with your age and your income than there is with your education and your income.
Correct. And education doesn't necessarily correspond. I will take somebody who knows their way around their profession and can teach by learn leading out than I will with an 8-year degree. I don't give a shit.
Absolutely.
Here we go.
Absolutely.
You don't need them. And fraud became rampant. Last year, I told you the watchdogs are back. Since then, we've recovered billions.
Hold on, we got a troll. Richie says, all I see is hatred coming out and people showing their true colors, including you. And I have no respect for you or any Republican anymore. And yeah, I know you're going to talk about me and anybody that stands up and bring, of course I'm going to talk about you. You're on a show where we interact with everybody. What do you think I'm going to say? Congratulations on having an opinion. That's an opinion. There's not one piece of fact. So you can have that. Now, if you start trying to espouse fact, then I'm going to take umbrage, but you don't have to like me. I don't give a shit. I don't very much like you either. Here's the rest part of your statement. I have no respect for you anymore after putting people down about where they work and you need to
Nobody did that.
Who did
Nobody
that?
did that.
How the hell did I put down where people work? My first job was at flipping burgers at Jack in the Box. I worked in the restaurant industry for 8 years through the Navy. What the fuck are you talking about? I didn't put anybody down.
The whole point of the free market is to work where the hell you want to work.
Yeah.
It's your choice. If you want to work, I will never disparage on anyone who decides that, hey, I got to work. I don't care where you work. That's your choice.
Richie says, bring it, and I will never back down and don't care what you think about me. Well, obviously you do care because you made that statement. And then you said, I don't answer to anyone but God. Yeah, but until you do meet God, because you're not talking to him now, because I'm sure he's not answering you. If he is, we've got a whole nother problem, and we need to stop talking completely, and you need to get some help. But until you do start talking to God, you might as well go ahead and frickin' have relationships here on terra firma, on earth, on this mortal coil, and try to be somewhat of a decent human being and not sit here and try to say that I'm knocking down on the little guy. Explain to me how anything I've said has not been for the individual. Please explain, give me an example of how I have represented anybody but the individual and the lowest of the low on the totem pole tonight. I would love to hear you say that. What else did he say? He didn't say anything else important. That's it.
Literally,
Richie,
every argument that we've been made has been made in an attempt to shrink government, because that's what helps amplify the individual.
Richie, this meme's for you. It says, I'm leaving, don't unfriend me, but first I will post about leaving, don't unfriend me. Then I will stay to see what people say about me leaving. Nobody gives a shit, Richie. Good fucking riddance.
Bye-bye. Now let's triple the anti-fraud strike force going after these criminals, double the statute of limitations on these crimes, and crack down on identity fraud by criminal syndicates stealing
Hunter knows all about crack.
Billions of dollars from the American people.
Stop allowing identity theft to steal money from you. Your government should do that.
For every dollar we put into fighting fraud, the taxpayers get back at least 10 times as much.
Guys, I'm going to listen to everything, but we're behind because we're a commentary show. Of course, it's playing somewhere else. If you want to go watch it there, do that. But otherwise, we're going to continue to comment.
The spike in violent crime in 2020, the first year of the pandemic. We have an obligation to make sure all people are safe.
Did it have anything to do with defund the police and canceling and bringing in progressive lawyers and DAs?
Kamala there, she sprung a few people out of jail.
Welcome.
Oh, throw a brick through a cop car windshield? She'll get you out of the jail.
I had to bury Tyree last week. As many of you personally know, there's no words to describe the heartache or grief of losing a child. But imagine.
Oh, here we go.
Imagine if you lost that child at the hands of the law. Imagine having to worry whether your son or daughter came home from walking down the street, playing in the park, or just driving a car. Most of us in here have never had to have the talk that brown and black parents have had to have with their children. Bo, Hunter, Ashley, my children. I never had to have the talk with them. I never had to tell them.
Well, that's because you hung out with some of the biggest racists and Ku Klux Klan members in fucking history.
God.
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Hold on a second. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's that he's not racist.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
Okay.
You got more questions, but I tell you, if you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, then you ain't black.
Whoa!
And by the way, I sit on the stand, and it get hot. I got hairy legs that turn blonde in the sun. And the kids used to come up and reach in the pool and rub my leg down so it was straight, and then watch the hair come back up again. They'd look at it. So I learned about roaches. I learned about kids jumping on my lap. And I've loved kids jumping on my lap. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to excuse me.
Hold on. This is the one this is the one, this one.
Better than anybody else. And you don't know my state. My state was a slave state. My state is a border state. My state is the 8th largest black population in the country. My state is anything from a northeast liberal state.
Merry Christmas. This is your commander-in-chief that's trying to talk about racism and the talk, which I agree is a horrendous thing, and every single minority has to deal with that. I understand. Just like white kids have to get the talk because there's a bunch of steroid-induced college athletes who drink too much beer who rape college girls, I've got to have the talk about sleeping with a girl because I am now a rapist because of what other stupid people do. Yes, we have to sometimes deal with the sins of the past. Yes, it happens all the time, and those talks are definitely not fun. But what also is fun is imagine having to have a talk about your husband who was lying next to you who died of fentanyl, which one of our listeners had to deal with, or the thousands upon thousands of people that are dying of fentanyl overdoses and poisoning right now because this fucking guy can't stop the border. Please spare me the bullshit. Yes, those 5 officers should spend the rest of their life in prison, and I believe that everybody is innocent until proven guilty. I've already made up my mind. I'm sorry. I don't need to see anything else. I don't need to hear anything else. I don't care what he did. Your job is to protect and serve, and once he was in custody, you do not beat the shit out of a human being for no reason. I don't care what he did. I don't care who he fucked or how many times he ran through a stop sign. But to sit here and label that as the law or every police person is exactly what Obama did and why we had more cops killed during his tenure than any other president in history between defund the police, between supporting crimes and progressive DAs. We had more cops killed from 2017 till 2020 than any other time in U.S. history by double. So don't sit here and tell me that Democrat policies don't have something to do with that, because the second biggest period of time is between 2006, 2008, and 2012. And 2016, when Barack Obama and Biden were in office. So don't give me this crap that this guy is going to be the guy that reforms the police. Please.
Don't reach for your license. Keep your hands on the steering wheel. Imagine having to worry like that every single time your kid got in a car.
You guys, don't put on the angry faces. You're mad at Joe Biden, not me. All it does is hurt my feet. Likes, loves, hearts, smiley faces. That's the stuff you want to hit, please. Thanks.
The faith of God, she said her son was, quote, a beautiful soul, and something good will come of this. Imagine how much courage and character that takes. It's up to us. To all of us. We all want the same thing. Neighborhoods free of violence. Law enforcement who earns the community's trust. Just as every cop, when they pin on that badge in the morning, has a right to be able to go home at night, so does everybody else out there. Our children have a right to come home safely.
Yeah, all good.
Equal
all good.
Protection.
I'll give him 10 for that. There.
Covenant we have with each other in America. We know police officers put their lives on the line every single night and day. And we know we ask them in many cases to do too much, to be counselors, social workers, psychologists, responding
but we're still going to single them out anyway.
Mental health crises, and so much more. In one sense, we ask too much of them. I know most cops and their families are good, decent, honorable people, the vast majority.
Quit trying to fuck them over in the news, will you?
And they risk their lives every time they put that shield on. But what happened to Tyree in Memphis happens too often.
That was a complete sentence. Did he really have to add "but" to it?
Give law enforcement the real training they need.
Well, he had to give the backhanded part of
standards.
It, right?
Help them succeed in keeping us safe. We also need more first responders and professionals to address the growing mental health, substance abuse challenges. More resources to reduce violent crime and gun crime. More community intervention programs. More investment in housing, education, and job training. All this can help prevent violence in the first place. And when police officers or police departments violate the public trust, they must be held accountable.
They were all fired, and they're all facing trial. What else do you want? You want them lynched?
If only we could say the same thing about politicians.
The victims,
God, no shit.
Civil rights groups and law enforcement. I signed an executive order for all federal officers, banning chokeholds, restricting no-knock warrants.
That was
and other key elements of the George Floyd Act.
No.
Let's
First of all, Chokeholds were already banned, and there were only local police departments and precincts, small sheriff departments, constable departments that weren't required under federal law to follow. Most of those have also banned chokeholds. Can we fucking stop with the semantics here? It is complete bullshit. Okay? This guy just makes up stuff as he goes along. It's ridiculous.
He is in one breath saying we should respect and love and, our cops do everything when they put the shield on. And in the same breath saying, but they're all pieces of shit who needed to have these laws placed on them so that they knew that they shouldn't be putting people in chokeholds. Well,
George Floyd was never put in a chokehold. Floyd was never put in a chokehold.
No.
So knock it off.
Yeah.
Stop the fucking drama. He was sitting next to an exhaust of a vehicle that was turned on. He had a knee in his back, and he had enough drugs to kill a small horse in his system. All of those things combined probably played a part. Let's be honest, okay? And let's be completely truthful. People die every single day. I don't know George Floyd. And I'm sorry, I did not find it particularly sad. When you hold a knife to a woman's stomach, when you have multiple cases of robbery and counterfeit checks and physical abuse and domestic abuse against a woman, I really don't give a shit about you. This gentleman that was just killed is a fucking travesty. And those police officers need to be held accountable. Full stop.
Yeah.
But let's not sit here and say that George Floyd was the second coming of Nelson Mandela. Are you fucking kidding me?
To double tap that, each and every one of these cases of police brutality needs to be taken and dissected as an individual event, not as something cumulative that the police force is doing nationwide.
Correct.
Each and every one of these are separate incidents with different circumstances and likely different scenarios. And we need to make sure that we remember that.
Right. And that's the thing. And that's once again, the collectivism bullshit that keeps happening. Tyree Nichols, that individual case, those cops, the paramedics, everybody is being held accountable. They've all been fired. They've all been charged. It's probably going to go up to the chief of police because of her hiring practices and reducing the amount of requirements for these task force that they put this Scorpion task force on. These choices were horrible. I agree. That guy should have a monument. Put a monument for make a Tyree Nichols city, make a Tyree Nichols center, give him a statue, have him be the next Rosa Parks, the Malcolm X, the Martin Luther King for this generation. I'm with you. I'll donate to it. I will give you money. I swear to God, I will. I'll donate a check tomorrow for it. But what I'm not going to do is sit here and pretend that George Floyd, if he just would have complied and did what he was supposed to do, is not the same thing that happened with Tyree Nichols. I don't care what Tyree would have done. He was going to die that night. Those cops had it out. George Floyd could have lived. End of story. Go ahead, Leroy.
No, don't worry about it.
Okay, good man. We're going to press play.
The moment passed.
Yeah. Sorry.
Floyd Act. Let's commit ourselves to make the words of Tyler's mom true. Something good must come from this. Something good.
That's fine. I agree with that.
And all of us. All of us. Folks, it's difficult, but it's simple. All of us in this chamber, we need to rise to this moment. We can't turn away. Let's do what we know in our hearts that we need to do. Let's come together to finish the job on police reform. Do something. What? Do something. That was the plea of parents who lost their children in Uvalde. I met with every one of them. Do something about gun violence. Thank God.
There it is.
There it is. Grabbing the guns. Now we just need to do the monies. The digital currency.
You need an AR.
He kind of already did the digital currency when he talked about the hackers and the hacking and stuff.
That the majority of responsible gun owners already support. Enhanced background checks for 18 to 21.
We already have background checks. It is the most regulated amendment on the fucking planet.
But we know our work is not done.
You don't
Joining us
need a
tonight
30-round magazine.
is Brandon Say, a 26-year-old hero. Brandon put his college dreams on hold to be at his mom's side. His mom's side when she was dying from cancer. And Brandon...
I hope he says, "Let's go, Brandon." I really do.
Brandon now works at the dance studio started by his grandparents. And 2 weeks ago, during the Lunar New Year celebrations, he heard the studio door close, and he saw a man standing there pointing a semi-automatic pistol at him.
And I bet the first thing he thought, ask Brandon what he wanted.
Inside.
He wanted a gun.
And in that instant, he found the courage to act and wrestled a semi-automatic pistol away from the gunman who had already killed 11 people in another dance studio.
If only he had a gun.
What is a semi-automatic pistol, Matt? Is that like 99% of the market?
It's every single weapon out there minus a blunderbuss, a bow and arrow, a single loader, and a bolt action.
I led the fight to do that in 1990.
You didn't lead the fight. You can't lead a bowel movement.
10 years that ban was law, mass shootings went down. After we let it expire in the Republican administration, mass shootings tripled. Let's finish the job and ban these assault weapons.
Such a fake
manipulation of the facts.
Such a fake stat. Such a fake
Make
stat.
it a bipartisan issue.
You're adding in fucking gang shootings, which was the height of gang elements, where anything over 3 shootings is a mass shooting. You're so full of shit, Biden.
We now have a record number of personnel working to secure the border, arresting 8,000 human smugglers.
Oh, dude,
seizing
okay.
over 23,000
Seriously, you're going to take
pounds of
any
fentanyl
credit on the border?
in just the last several months. We've launched a new border plan last month.
330% increase
from Cuba,
year over year.
Haiti,
Oh, Mayorkas.
Nicaragua, and Venezuela has come down 97% as a consequence of that. But American border problems won't be fixed until Congress acts. If we don't pass my comprehensive immigration reform, at least pass my plan to provide the equipment and officers to secure the border.
Oh my God!
Oh my
I don't know.
God, are you fucking kidding me? Look at the Republicans.
I don't know. They could always fucking finish throwing up a fence.
I'm giving him two more lies.
Here in the people's house.
That is unbelievable. Look at Cruz.
And folks, the family unit is the most important thing that we can focus on. We've got to do a better job in limiting abortions in the United States. That's why I repealed Roe v. Wade. What the fuck?
Right.
Oh my God. This fucking guy.
Congress must restore the right. And
Get him, Republicans.
Congress must restore the right that was taken away in Roe v. Wade and protect Roe v. Wade.
Oh my God. This fucking guy's running for election. This is the worst State of the Union I've ever heard. It's not a State of the Union. It's a state of what Joe Biden says he's going to do in his second term.
Safeguard patient safety. Well, already more than a dozen states are enforcing extreme abortion bans. Make no mistake about it. If Congress passes a national ban, I will veto it.
Why would they?
Let's also pass.
What the whole okay. All right, the whole reason that they went ahead and removed Roe v. Wade is because it was unconstitutionally applied to the 14th Amendment for the right to privacy. Exactly. And they don't want a national ruling until the states agree. That's what it calls for, is a 3/4 majority to overturn and a 60% majority or 2/3 majority to go ahead and uphold. So what they want is they want the states to vote on it. And when the states, more than 60% of them, agree on the topic, then they will codify Roe v. Wade. Until then, go fuck yourself. We're going to protect babies.
You know,
this really is why I don't run for office.
It really wasn't that long ago when we were talking about the overturning of Roe v. Wade. You know, you could apply all sorts of emotional arguments to it. You know, murdering babies is wrong and all. I think most people would agree with that.
So emotional, so egregious, so emotional, Leroy.
Unless that fetus just so happens to still be located within the mother's womb, because then, you know, I guess it's cannon fodder, right? So here's the problem with that, is that every argument that we've ever heard from the Democrats with regard to this thing has always been this appeal to women's reproductive rights. But all that happened was we kicked it back to the states. They basically said, let the states figure it out, because it was never explicitly fucking written down that somehow abortion was listed on the Bill of Rights. It was
a constitutional right. It's not a right.
And under
in the dead of night, a bunch of white guys slapped it on the 14th Amendment. It was unconstitutional. Listen, you folks, most of the United States agree that some form of abortion should be legal in the United States. That's just the truth. You need to just embrace it and understand it. Whether you agree or not is immaterial. That's the opinion. The opinion is 7 out of 10 people think some form is acceptable. Okay? Sure. So we're not saying we want abortion completely gone, because there are times that it might be the only option for somebody, and that has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with that person and the child and the person who is having the procedure done, okay? That's the truth. But what we're saying is that there has to be regulation on abortion. And it can't be unfettered access where the federal government comes in with broad sweeping legislation and refuses the states' rights to make that decision for themselves. The only time the federal government should get involved is when there is a 6-10 majority of the states, 60% of the states, or a 2/3 majority agree, 66%, agree on an issue like legalizing marijuana, which is becoming closer to a majority opinion. And when it does, then they will vote on it and the federal government will codify it and make it a part of an amendment. That's the way this works. It does not work in the other way around, where the courts go ahead and say that you have to pay a fucking fine if you don't have Obama's insurance. That's a mandate, and that's unconstitutional. Where they will go ahead and hear next month, the Supreme Court, about changing voting laws for states, like mass mail-out ballots of 50 million to unregistered voters, which I've talked about this, which they're going to also say is unconstitutional as well when the Supreme Court hears this case next month. When something is unconstitutional, the Supreme Court should strike it down. They did their job. Now the states can go ahead and vote on it, because that's the 10th Amendment, the reserve power of the states. There is absolutely no freaking reason for people to be flipping out about abortion unless you live in a state that disagrees with abortion from a majority scale. And if they do, here's a word of advice. Fucking move or close your legs.
I need to make something, because I got to get this off of my mind. I have to. We do so much in this country to make sure that when we're talking about things like murder, straight up murder, people know that it's wrong. We can say that it's already, I don't know, heavily regulated, right? If you're going to hold those same types of regulations and laws applicable to something like murder, then you need to hold it the same thing applicable to abortion. And for everyone, we've got nearly 200 people on. For everyone who's on that is basically saying, "Oh, the United States, this is about a freedom of privacy." Let me explain something. We have in our foundational documents to this country one of the strongest pieces of paper that basically says we are a pro-life country. And it's written in the Declaration of Independence. And in the last 6 months to a year, both Joe Biden and Kamala Harris have both ripped up that sentence. And if, this is not anything that's, I mean, we've all seen these clips. Kamala could not repeat it. Right? But we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that we're endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life.
Liberty and the pursuit of happiness.
She couldn't say it, and he couldn't say it. And there's a reason. I'm so pissed off about that.
Dude, don't get me. Yeah, it's not something we haven't talked about before. Here we go.
It's also passed the Bipartisan Equality Act to ensure LGBTQ Americans, especially transgender young people, can live with safety and dignity.
How do they not live with safety and dignity right now? Wait. How do? Oh, forget it. We have no bananas today.
Example of our power, but the power of our example.
Kristen
Let's
Sinema is so
remember the
hot.
world's
She dresses
watching.
so weird.
I spoke in this chamber 1 year ago, just days after Vladimir Putin unleashed his brutal attack against Ukraine.
Should be walking out
Oh,
of
boy.
Murderous
Here we go.
assault, evoking images of death and destruction Europe suffered in World War II. Putin's invasion has been a test for the ages, a test for America, a test for the world. Would we stand for the most basic of principles? Would we stand for sovereignty? We stand for the right of people to live free of tyranny?
Not when it's a balloon in our airspace, apparently.
Democracy.
No, fuck that.
For such defense matters.
Care about
most
sovereignty
because
when
it
it's a
keeps
balloon
peace
from China.
and prevents open season on would-be aggressors and threatens our prosperity.
Did he just call for the assassination of world leaders?
We know the answer.
Is that what he just said?
We would, and
Did he
we
just say
did.
open season on anyone who America disagrees with? Well, I guess Soleimani and Iran are out now.
Together, we did what America always does at our best. We led. We united.
Why is he
NATO.
turning 4 pages at a
We built a
time?
global coalition.
It literally
We
said
stood
turn the
against
page in the
Putin's
notes.
aggression. We stood with the Ukrainian people tonight. We're once again
least he
joined
didn't
by
read it.
Ukraine's ambassador to the United States. She represents not just her nation, but the courage of her people. Our ambassador is here. United, we're united in our support of your country.
What's her
Will you
name?
stand so we can all take a look at you?
Take a look at you. Can I sniff your hair?
Thank you.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
Because we're going to stand with you as long as it takes.
Aw, she's saying thank you.
Our nation is working for more freedom, more dignity.
Callers,
more
we'll bring
peace.
somebody in soon. We
Not just
already
in
have
Europe, but
enough
everywhere.
distractions right now. Just
Before I came
hold
to
on.
office, the story
I'm sorry.
was
I
about
really want you to
Don't
call in,
be
but we gotta
rude.
finish
People's
this.
Republic of
We
China
gotta
was
finish this
increasing its
thing.
power, and America was failing in the world. Not anymore.
Not anymore.
We made clear, and I made clear in my personal conversations,
I'm
which
gonna
have been
change
many,
that.
with President Xi.
You are fake
And we
news.
seek competition, not conflict. But I will make no apologies that we're investing to make America stronger. Investing in American innovation and industries that will define the future that China intends to be dominating. Investing in our alliances.
Why didn't you shoot
and
down the
working with
balloon
our
then,
allies
Joe?
to protect advanced technologies so they will not be used against us. Modernizing our military to safeguard stability and deter aggression. Today, we're in the strongest position in decades to compete with China or anyone else in the world. Anyone else in the world.
No.
Except to the energy,
And I'm committed.
He got
which is
that
the most
wrong.
pathetic. Which is the most
He
pathetic
got
thing in
that
the
wrong.
world. Go ahead, tell
He's
him.
saying that we compete with China.
I'm
No,
committed to work
they.
with
China
where
competes
we
with
can
us.
advance
Us.
American interests and benefit the world. But make no mistake about it. As we made clear last week, if China threatens our sovereignty, we will act to protect our country, and we did.
God, there's Millie.
Are you
There's Millie.
fucking kidding me? Are you okay?
A day late and $1 short there, sweet cheeks.
So this is okay. This is a guy that goes down to Mexico. He puts the water to his mouth and he drinks it. It makes its way into his stomach and small intestines, and the parasites and the chloria and the fucking giardia and whatever else is in there manifest into a stomach bug. He shits his brains out for 7 days. He then comes back. And right after he gets done with his excavation of bowel movements, he literally gets ass raped by 12 banditos.
Ew.
And then he stands up on the national stage and he goes, folks, I just want to let you know something. I took care of Mexico. I fucking handled Mexico.
I pooped my pants.
I went in there, I came, I saw, and I blew it out my ass. I did it all. He just got butt fucked by China on national TV on the national stage, and he's sitting here taking credit. You just got anally raped by China, and you're fucking taking credit for it. And not only taking credit, you're bragging about it. You know what China's like? They're like, oh, this fucking guy completely fucking crazy.
Yeah.
We should invade. Fuck Joe Biden. FJB. We're going to see fucking dude. If there's any reason to not invade the United States, it's now over tonight. He just, I can't even, I don't even know what to say anymore. I don't even know what to say. This guy ate the worm. He ate the worm.
Yeah.
And he's sitting here like, oh, I owned Mexico. Like I owned it. I'm stronger than 30,000 spring breakers in Cancun. I owned Mexico. They want to call me a federale. They call me muy guapo. I owned Mexico. Dude, you let it fly through 16 different states. You let it hang over the United States. And once you knew that you had multiple sightings of the balloons and the Chinese said it was a weather pattern from a westerly wind that pushed it off course and they didn't have capability to move it out of our airspace and left it there, you literally got ass fucked. And then you sit here and say, well, I just owned them. China won't do that again. With failure like that, China should continue to do what it's doing. It'll be the most successful country in our fucking in the world.
China, if I were China, this is not an exaggeration. Right? If I were Xi Jinping, I would start construction immediately of at least 100 more of these things.
Yeah, and I would also go ahead and decide to push in and create naval bases and try to buy some land in Australia to build naval bases in Australia and then see what they can do about getting some land on Diego Garcia or making an artificial island 30 miles off of Diego Garcia. Maybe they could do that too. Because why shouldn't they? What's the United States going to do? Nothing.
Nothing.
They're going to eat the worm. They're not going to do shit. You know what they're going to say?
Watch it happen.
Okay, yeah. What happens? Let me. You want to know what? Okay. Thank God that hijacking a plane is probably one of the most difficult things in the world to do right now, because this is the guy that wouldn't shoot down an American plane because like, well, we can't do that. We can't do that because there's people on the ground. Even though that plane's intention is to hit people on the ground, this guy can't make a decision to save his fucking life.
No.
That little meme that says yes or no, right? Like protect U.S.'s sovereignty or shoot down the balloon and upset China, right? And then you see the guy sweating. He is that guy. He can't make a decision to save his life. This guy doesn't even know what he wants for dinner. I don't care about the balloon. I don't care about the intel collection. I care that it broke our airspace and we did nothing.
Well, actually, you probably can make a decision on dinner because it's normally ice cream, soft serve.
Metamucil or ice cream while watching Matlock. All right, here we go.
What not Matlock?
Sorry, I said ass fuck. I'm a little grumpy tonight. I'll be honest with you. My blood sugar's low.
We face serious challenges across the world. But in the past 2 years, democracies have become stronger, not weaker.
And it wasn't a 3-day to take down the balloon. They knew about it 10 days before it even encroached international waters. Knock it off.
We knew it about years ago.
Name me one.
Why is he yelling? People want to know why I'm yelling. Why don't you ask why the president's yelling? Hold on, let me hear why he's yelling.
Autocracy's grown weaker, not stronger. Name me a world leader who changed places with Xi Jinping. Name me one. Name me one.
What?
America's rallying the world to meet those challenges, from climate to global health.
The fuck is he talking
to
about?
Food insecurity to terrorism.
I can name about 100 leaders who would. Kim Jong-un would trade place with fucking Ping right now.
Look.
He'd be like, "Oh fuck you, North Korea! I'm going to China."
In the Pacific and those in the Atlantic, and those who bet against America are learning how wrong they are. It's never, ever been a good bet to bet against America.
Christian Rodriguez, we do not have the best air defense system in the world. That would be Iran and China. Israel's pretty good too. When it comes to Iron Dome's pretty fucking.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking legit.
Most assured that bipartisanship assumed was impossible, but never believed it. That's why a year ago I offered a unity agenda to the nation as I stood here.
What?
We made real progress together. We passed a law making it easy for doctors to prescribe effective treatments for opioid addiction. We passed.
From now on, it's going to be America first, okay? America first.
For breakthrough in the fights against cancer, Alzheimer's, and diabetes, and so much more. We passed the Heath Robinson PACT Act, named after the late Iraq War veteran whose story about exposure to toxic burn kits I shared here last year.
God, McCarthy's up there probably with irritable bowel syndrome.
Oh yeah, McCarthy's just like, fuck, did I want this position?
We can do it together. Join us.
We're going to listen to Sarah Huckabee, guys.
There's a
We're behind.
father
We're a
named
comment
Doug
show. You don't
from
get
Newton, New
commentary
Hampshire.
like this.
He wrote Jill, my wife, a letter, and me as well, about his courageous daughter, Courtney. A contagious laugh, his sister's best friend, her sister's best friend. He shared the story all too familiar to millions of Americans and many of you in the audience.
It's like Karl Marx.
Courtney discovered pills in high school.
Bit. Or
It spiraled into addiction and eventually death from a fentanyl overdose.
Uncle Walt.
She was just 20
Looks like my
years
drunk
old.
uncle. Be nice.
Described
Knock
in
it
the
off.
last 8 years without
This is
her,
where we're
Doug
supposed
said,
to be emotional.
Oh,
There's no worse pain. Yet their family has turned pain to purpose, working to end the stigma and change laws.
Pain to
He told
purpose.
us
Is that
he
the new
wants
truth to
start a
power?
journey toward American recovery.
Sorry.
Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year.
You're fucking kidding. And
Well, you
more
should fucking do
tequila.
something about it.
More worms. Then close the fucking border.
You got it.
Yeah, there you go. It is your fault, you mother.
So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
Whoever said it's your fault, make sure you vote for that guy.
Working with
Dude, this is
couriers
such
like
bullshit.
FedEx to inspect
This
more
is such
packages
complete
for drugs.
bullshit. Why Republicans should continue to yell.
To crack down on fentanyl trafficking. Second, let's do more on mental health, especially for our children. When millions of young people are struggling with bullying, violence, trauma, we owe them greater access to mental health care at their schools. We must finally hold social media companies
Matt, can you pause it?
accountable for experimenting or running children for profit. It's time to pass bipartisan
yes.
legislation.
Yes,
to
good.
stop big
About
tech
time. Why don't you crack down on
from
Hollywood
collecting
too?
personal data on our kids.
Why don't you crack down on people who are trying to normalize and sexualize our kids?
And impose
Matt,
stricter
can you pause
limits
it real quick?
on the personal data. that
I
companies
can,
collect
but
of
we're
all
way
of us.
behind. But yeah, go ahead.
Okay. All right. Well, I was just going to say, look, for everyone who doesn't believe that fentanyl is something that deeply affects everyone at a very personal level at home, we have somebody who works on the show who lost a loved one because of fentanyl. And
Right.
we don't know that this couldn't have been stopped simply by this prick doing his job. All he had to have done was look up Article 4, Section 4 of the Constitution. It says, hey, protect the borders against invasion. It's in there.
You're fired.
Sorry, I just wanted to get that out.
No, you're right, dude. Preach
You're
on,
fired.
man.
Oh, bastard.
Let's do more to keep this nation put at risk. I'm not new to this place. I stand here
You've
tonight
been there since it was
having served
created.
as long as about any one of you have ever served here. But I've never been more optimistic about
Sounds
our
something to be
future,
proud of.
about the future of America.
You sound
Just remember
optimistic.
who
Doesn't
we
he sound
are.
optimistic?
We're the
He just wants to
United
change every
States of
facet of our
America, and there's
Constitution and our
nothing-
government
nothing
to get
beyond our
there.
capacity
Except for,
if we do it
beating up on
together.
companies
God
and
bless you all.
beating
May
up on
God
cops.
protect
Sure.
our truth. Thank you.
President Joe Biden's second State of the Union address, running about 72 minutes long, interrupted.
Lies, shit.
Our students across.
No, and I do not have the courage.
Republicans believe in an America. Children are taught to hate one another.
That might not be.
A war in Ukraine. So I think that us versus
This guy right
is
here.
not necessarily the thing to do, but we need a fair tax code. Even you and I start talking about how we could agree on the Medicaid expansion by making work.
You guys familiar with him?
Mm-mm.
If you're not, you go watch The Five and go listen to him. He is what is known as a blue-collar Democrat. Yeah, The Five. It's on Fox. He's a blue-collar Democrat. And he's probably one of the most rational and well-educated Democrats I've ever heard talk. And every time he says something, I am so enamored by his affability and ability to understand perspective from both sides. I love that about this guy.
Interesting.
Harold, God, I remember. I always struggle with his name, and I see him every single day. I'll
If any
look
of
it
the
up.
dummies know the guy, go ahead and pop it into chat so we can read it.
It's not Ford. It's God, can't believe I can't remember this guy's name.
Henry Ford Jr.
No.
By making work requirements.
Someone will pull it up in a second.
I agree with you 100%. You always were like that. You're a moderate Democrat. It's all cheap shots. All right, we got to get out. We're
we're going to head to Little Rock, Arkansas. I was enjoying that common ground. Let's listen to Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
I'm Sarah Huckabee Sanders.
Valerie says he's an idiot. Why is he an idiot exactly? Please explain to me why he's an idiot. That I appreciate your emotional tirade, but that doesn't really give me any reason why you consider him an idiot. Why?
Harold Ford Jr.
Yeah, is it? Was I right? Harold Ford Jr. Okay, so I was right. Harold Ford Jr. Yeah.
One
why is Harold Ford Jr. an idiot? Please explain it to me. Why a moderate Democrat is an idiot? I'm really interested to get your opinion. Not that I really care, to be honest, but let's listen to Sarah.
God, that was a terrible State of the Union.
Oh my God, dude, that wasn't a State of the Union.
Sanders.
Let's listen to Sarah.
Being a mom to 3 young children
like her.
taught me not to believe every story I hear.
She looks pretty.
So forgive me for not believing much of
For someone who isn't, the most
from
beautiful
Biden.
woman, she tries, man, and I think she's elegant, and people are just assholes.
I like
to
her.
The dangerous border crisis
She's
and
wicked
threat
smart.
from China. Biden and the Democrats have failed you. They know it,
yes,
and you know it. And it's time for a change. Tonight, let us reaffirm our commitment to a timeless American idea that government exists not to rule the people, but to serve the people. Democrats want to rule us with more government control, but that's not who we are. America is the greatest country the world has ever known because we're the freest country the world has ever known, with a people who are strong and resilient. 5 months ago, I was diagnosed with thyroid cancer. It was a hard time for our family, particularly our kids, Scarlett, Huck, and George. But we kept our faith and persevered. Thanks to exceptional doctors here in Arkansas, a successful surgery, and the grace of God, I am cancer-free. Through it all, I couldn't help but think about my mom. She was 20 years old and in her first.
So let me make sure I understand this, because the entire night I've been just destroying liberal policy, but now I'm going to defend Democrats just a little bit. The answer of the person who said, first of all, don't say you're sorry. It's your opinion. You said Harold Ford Jr. is an idiot. And I promise you, and this is with all the respect in the world, he would destroy you in a conversation, as would I. It's not personal. It's just game recognizes game. And Harold Ford Jr. is a fantastic orator and a very, very clever mind. And me, I'm freaking like a bull in a china shop. With respect. But you say you don't like him. You said you're sorry, and I don't want you to be sorry, just like I'm not sorry for the things I'm saying. I'm not trying to belittle you. I'm trying to help open up your mind. You say you think he's an idiot, which is a very strong word. And in my opinion, I think is extremely disrespectful to say to another human being, because even the simplest person can teach us something. At least humility, that we're one step away or one rearranged neuron from being exactly where they are. So our genius or brains very rarely has to do with anything we did. Now, what you do with that is definitely up to you, but you get my point. John Holmes pretty much knew what he was going to do with most of his life at 16 years old. He was going to be a porn star because he was born with something that most donkeys are given. Okay? My point being is that you said he's an idiot, not because he truly is an idiot. It's because, quote, you disagree with a few things he says.
There it is.
Then, ma'am, I'm an idiot. And everyone who is around you is an idiot, because I promise you there are things you disagree with. And I would challenge you to stop and take a moment that if everyone around you is an idiot and you're the only smart one, chances are
it's not
them. Just my personal opinion, whether you agree or not, is, once again, I don't care.
She was diagnosed with spinal cancer.
Go ahead.
Sorry. I was going to say idiocy is one of those things that is it's more closely defined with the inability to bring in new ideas and to assimilate that and to come out with different conclusions, to be nimble on one's mental feet. So that if given a new set of circumstances or a new set of evidence when trying to solve a problem, you're able to, move around a little bit. If you can't do that.
Right. And I don't agree with everything Harold Ford Jr. says, but I also don't agree with everything Sarah Huckabee Sanders says. I don't agree with everything Donald Trump says, but I don't think they're idiots. In fact, I can tell you right now that there are not many idiots in Washington, D.C. Natter's one of them. There's not many. Maxine Waters is an idiot. Maxine Waters is an idiot. Maxine Waters is a fucking idiot.
She got roached, and I don't know when it was because did you see that? Somebody called her out on her policies because they claimed that she was a socialist, and then she basically said, "I'm not a socialist." And then they had dug up one of her prior
She's an idiot.
that said, "Oh, I'm a socialist." Well,
AOC is not an idiot. Ilhan Omar is not an idiot. And I think her being removed from the committee had nothing to do with what she said about Benjamins. And Joe Rogan said it best too, but he was also being anti-Semitic according to the rules of being anti-Semitic when he said that Jewish Americans and Jewish people, and especially Israelis, care about money. Well, I don't. Listen, everyone cares about money. Who doesn't? I don't think there's anybody on the planet who's like, dude, I just don't care about money. Fucking, you got that one hippie. All he does is smoke dope and surf. But most people care about money. Okay. I don't think that's anti-Semitic. What I care about is her supporting ISIS. I care about her saying that Palestine should be a free state because when they are a free state, they fucking elect Hamas and terrorist organizations to run their country. We don't need another Iran. I'm sorry. Does that mean that Palestine shouldn't be a free state? Yeah, fucking that's exactly what it means. Oh, well, you don't support freedom and democracy? It's not a democratic state, so it's a moot point for you to bring it up. It's a goddamn Sorry, I blasphemed. Sorry. It's a fucking terrorist state. There's no democracy in that state. Follow our rules or we cut your heads off or behead you, or we go ahead and we rip out your vagina or pour acid on your face. That is not a fucking government. Sorry, I said goddamn. I apologize. I don't do that. I never blaspheme. I apologize. I'll say F this, F that all day long. My point is this, is Ilhan Omar specifically said things that support terrorist states repeatedly, and nobody should have a security clearance who does that. I don't care. And that means she can't be on the committee. Honestly, I think she's pretty valuable on the committee. I think she opposes people's viewpoints constantly. She challenges the world stage. I don't like Ilhan Omar, but I love that she's a bulldog.
Advocate.
Yeah, I love that about her. And I love that I disagree with her. And I don't think Ilhan Omar is a stupid person. But what I don't agree with is the fact that she should have a security clearance for disparaging the United States of America, because that is one of the stipulations of getting a security clearance. So it's a moot point whether she belongs on the committee or not. She can't qualify. She should be out. And that's what the Republicans who wanted to remove her should have said, but they didn't. They made it about anti-Semitic remarks, which were at very best just bad taste, which I don't think anyone should be removed for bad taste. Okay? Great. Darren Deb says, idiot. I don't know what the fuck that means, Darren. But monosyllabic vocabularies aren't my big thing, dude. So you're going to have to expound a little bit and tell me who's an idiot, why they're an idiot, or are you just throwing a temper tantrum? One of the two. Okay?
I mean, I've been called an idiot before.
I've been called an idiot before, but nobody can really actually come on and tell me why. Just educate me. Come here. Come tell me. Call the show, 1-804-504-1955. Let's wrap this up.
She might not live. And if she did live, they said she'd never walk again. And if she did walk, she'd definitely never have children. The daughter she was told she'd never have was just sworn in as the new governor of Arkansas.
I don't think Biden's an idiot. I think he's mentally incapable of being smart.
Adversity
There's a difference.
and fear of the unknown can paralyze us. But faith
Thanks, Darren.
propels us to charge boldly ahead. We can't stand still in the face of great challenges. You and I were put on this earth.
Sorry, I couldn't see the reply. Darren, I didn't mean to come at you. I can only see
boldly ahead.
Comments. So
I'll be the first to admit, President Biden and I don't have a lot in common. I'm for freedom. He's for government control. At 40, I'm the youngest governor in the country. And at 80, he's the oldest president in American history. I'm the first woman to lead my state. And he's the first man to surrender his presidency to a woke mob that can't even tell you what a woman is.
Oh, shit!
There it is.
Dropping bars.
Washington taxes
There it
women
is.
lights your hard-earned money on fire.
Damn.
That you get crushed with high gas prices, empty grocery shelves, and our children are taught to hate one another on account of their race, but not to love one another or our great country. Whether Joe Biden believes this madness or is simply too weak to resist it, his administration has been completely hijacked by the radical left. The dividing line in America is no longer between right or left. The choice is between normal or crazy. It's time for a new generation of Republican leadership.
I think it's a little
Upon
aggressive to
taking
call everyone
office
crazy.
just a few weeks ago,
She
I
should have
signed
said something more like
executive orders to
tyranny
ban
and
CRT, racism,
liberty.
and indoctrination in our schools.
Let me ask you a question.
Eliminate-
Do you consider the current course of action of Democrats to be normal?
No.
Okay, well then the opposite of normal is sanity.
Abnormal.
So, but it's not. But abnormal could be considered not sane. If normalcy, if being normal from a mental state is what she's saying, and that's what she's propagating, the antithesis of that would be insanity.
I understand, but
I just don't agree. I agree with you. I think it could have said disillusionment and enlightenment, right? But then she would have lost half of her audience. That's a tough one, right? She tried to keep it simplistic,
It's a
but
tough
I agree
line
with you.
to walk.
It's a tough line to walk. It's a very hard line. I agree with you. I would have, if a speechwriter, I would never have called half of America insane. I just wouldn't have done it. That's like calling Christians.
Every time I hear bigger government policy, I think tyranny. Every time I hear less taxes, more freedom to the people, I think liberty. So that line, that balance, like it's like when we always envision what's the chick with the blindfold and the scales of
Lady
justice.
Justice.
Yes, it's a ratio, right? Liberty, tyranny.
She very simply, she should have said control over freedom. That would have been, I think, better.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Could have been related. Control over freedom. Okay, fair enough. Good enough.
Derogatory term Latinx in our government, repealed COVID orders, and said never again to authoritarian mandates and shutdowns. Americans want common sense from their leaders.
Yeah, confused would be
But
good,
in
Marcus. That's a good
Washington,
one.
The Biden administration is doubling down on crazy. President Biden inherited the fastest economic recovery on record, the most secure border in history, cheap, abundant, homegrown
You want me to do her
energy,
facts?
fast rising wages, a rebuilt military,
I love her,
and a world that was stable and at peace. But over the last 2 years, Democrats destroyed it all. Despite Democrats' trillions in reckless spending and mountains of debt, we now have the worst border crisis in American history.
True.
As a mom, my heart breaks for every parent who has lost a son or daughter to addiction. 100,000 Americans a year are now killed from drug overdoses, largely from fentanyl pouring across our southern border. Yet the Biden administration refuses to secure the border and save American lives. And after years of Democrat attacks on law enforcement and calls to defund the
Arnold,
police,
she's not running.
violent criminals roam free,
she's gonna stick her governorship
while
out. But if she
law-abiding
crushes
families
Arkansas,
live in fear.
she could win the
Beyond our
South.
border from
She
Afghanistan
could win the Midwest.
to Ukraine,
She's
from
also
North Korea to Iran,
northern
President
East
Biden's
Coast would
weakness
work,
puts our
and she could
nation
win the North
and the world at risk.
Northern Midwest.
And the president's refusal to stand up to
a
China,
good
our
VP.
most formidable adversary,
She's not going to run as VP.
is
She's
dangerous.
they're pushing her forward in the
unacceptable.
party because she is magnificent.
President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies.
I could see
and
her being a
defend our
Truman
people.
type.
He is simply
Southern,
unfit to serve as
wicked,
commander-in-chief.
Midwest smart.
And while you reap the consequences of their failures, the Biden administration seems more interested in woke fantasies than the hard reality Americans face
She's
every
got to
day.
hit him on.
Most Americans simply want to
She's
live their
got to hit
lives
him
in
on
freedom
the slavery
and peace.
piece.
But we are
That would
under
be a
attack in a
powerful.
left-wing culture
Democrats
war
want to go back
we
to their
didn't
roots,
start and
slavery.
never wanted to fight.
That's all you got to fucking say, man, because
Every
that's what it
day
is.
we are
Work for
told
free.
We must partake in their rituals,
Do what we say as the
salute
government.
their flags, and worship their false idols. All while big government colludes with big tech to strip away the most American thing there is.
We love
your
you,
freedom
Amy.
of speech. That's not normal. It's crazy, and it's wrong. Make no mistake. Republicans will not surrender this fight. We will lead with courage and do what's right, not what's politically correct or convenient. Republicans believe in an America where strong families thrive in safe communities, where jobs are abundant and paychecks are rising, where the freedom our veterans shed their blood to defend is the birthright of every man, woman, and child. These are the principles Republican governors are fighting for, and in Washington, under the leadership of Senate Republicans and Speaker Kevin McCarthy, we will hold the Biden administration accountable.
Thank you, Jesus.
Down the street from where I sit is my alma mater, Little Rock Central High.
Hi, Sue.
As a student there, I will never forget
Nancy.
watching my dad, Governor Mike Huckabee, and President Bill Clinton hold the doors open to the Little Rock Nine. Doors that 40 years earlier had been closed to them because they were black. Today, those children once barred from the schoolhouse are now
I'd kill for Bill
heroes,
Clinton back in office.
memorialized in bronze.
Not gonna lie.
at our
Minus what he
State
did for
House.
defense.
I'm proud of the progress our country has
Compared to
made.
this guy?
And I believe giving every child access to a quality education,
Thanks, Matt. We're going to
regardless
listen
of
to
their
it.
race
It's
or
late
income,
late in the tooth, but
is the civil rights
long in the
issue
tooth.
of our day.
the night.
Tomorrow, I will unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education reform in the country.
Fuck yes.
My plan empowers parents
She is
with
awesome.
real choices,
It's wicked.
improves literacy and career readiness, and helps put a good teacher in every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation.
Remember when the left attacked her for
Here
her
in
looks?
Arkansas,
I don't know about
Fuck
that.
it.
across America, Republicans are working to end the policy of trapping and helps put a good unveil an education package that will be the most far-reaching, bold, conservative education
I missed the part.
reform
I'll
in
shut
the
up.
country.
You're good.
My plan empowers parents with real choices, improves literacy and career readiness, and helps put a good teacher in every classroom by increasing their starting salary from one of the lowest to one of the highest in the nation.
I don't agree with that at all.
Here in Arkansas,
I don't
you
either.
should not,
and across
you should not
America,
reward teachers
Do not
for
throw
mediocrity.
money at a
working to
problem
end
and
the
expect
policy
results.
of
No, fuck
trapping
that.
kids in failing schools and
It's a horrible
sentencing
idea.
them to a lifetime of poverty.
Disband the
We
unions.
will educate.
Then you don't
not
have to worry about
indoctrinate
paying
our
teachers
kids,
more. You get the best of the
and
best.
put students on a
Do,
path to
do
success.
more with charter schools.
It's time for a
Vouchers.
new generation to lead.
Sure.
This is our moment. This is our opportunity. A new generation born in the waning decades of the last century, shaped by economic booms and stock market busts, forged by the triumph of the Cold War and the tragedy of 9/11.
Hey, Pam, I'm not a fucking cable show. I'll say whatever the fuck I want on my show. This is a talk show. This is a radio show. We've been on for 3.5 hours. You just got here and you're making demands. I don't know you, but when I go into somebody's house, I have a little more respect. People come here for the dialogue. They come in here for the commentary. So I'm not going to shut up. Go fuck yourself.
What did she say?
You don't come in here and tell me to shut up. You could simply be polite and say, hey, could we just go ahead and play it a little more instead of, making the no, first of all, we can't. You pay for your own fucking cable and go and watch it on your own if you want to live in peace and harmony and have nobody talking. This show breaks stuff down, whether you like it or not. And if you're incapable of hearing her, then I'm sorry that your fucking mind is so myopic that you can't focus on two things at once. It's not like we're interrupting everything. We're expanding on what she's saying. So thank you very much. Appreciate the peanut gallery. Go fuck yourself. Tell me to shut up at fucking 11 o'clock at night when my family's out there waiting for me and I'm sitting here with you. Have some fucking respect.
New ideas to solve age.
Or was that not what you were expecting? Were you expecting a passive host who wasn't going to engage with you? Yeah, fucking good luck with that, lady.
Old problems. A generation moored to our deepest values and oldest traditions, yet unafraid to challenge the present order and find a better way forward. If we seize this moment together, America can once again be the land of the free and the home of the brave. During my 2.5 years at the White House, I traveled on every foreign trip with the president. A trip I will never forget was on December 25th of 2018. My husband Brian and I had just cleaned up wrapping paper that was shoved into every corner of our house, thanks to our 3 kids. When I had to walk out on my own family's Christmas, unable to tell them where I was going that night, because the place I'd be traveling was so dangerous, they didn't want anybody to know that the president was going to be on the ground, even for a few hours. We boarded Air Force One in complete and total darkness. There were no lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. Our phones and computers shut down and turned in. We were going completely off the grid. Nearly 12 hours later, in the pitch black of night, we landed in the war-torn part of Western Iraq. It was again a similar scene. No lights on the plane, no lights on the runway. The only thing you could see was coming from about a mile away in a dining hall where hundreds of troops who were in the fight against ISIS had gathered expecting to celebrate Christmas with senior military leadership from around the region. They had absolutely no idea that the president and first lady were about to walk into that room. And when they did, it was a sight and a scene and a sound I hope I never forget. The room erupted. Men and women from every race, religion, and region, every political party, every demographic you can imagine, started chanting in perfect unison over and over and over again, USA, USA, USA. It was an absolutely perfect picture of what makes our country great.
This is how you tell a story.
One of the young soldiers yelled from the back,
Joe Biden
Mr.
should
President,
take notes.
I re-enlisted in the military because of you. And the president said, wow. And son, I'm here because of you.
Wow.
Shortly after, that young soldier came up to me. He said, Sarah, you have a tough job. I told him, what I do is nothing. You take bombs and bullets. That's a tough job. And in a moment that I know I'll cherish for the rest of my life, that soldier reached up and he pulled the Brave Rifles patch he wore on his shoulder.
What?
And he placed it into my hand, a sign of ultimate respect.
Yeah.
And he said, Sarah, we are in this together. Overwhelmed with emotion and speechless, I just hugged him with tears in my eyes and a grateful heart for our heroes who keep us free. That young man and everyone who has served before him, all of those who serve alongside him, and the thousands we know who will be called upon to serve after him. deserve to know they have a country and a community back home doing our part in the fight for freedom. America is great because we are free. But today, our freedom is under attack, and the America we love is in danger. President Biden and the Democrats have failed you, and it's time for a change. A new generation of Republican leaders are stepping up, not to be caretakers of the status quo, but to be change makers for the American people. We know not what the future holds, but we know who holds the future in his hands. And with God as our witness, we will show the world that America is still the place where freedom reigns and liberty will never die. Thank you.
God love her.
God bless you, and God bless America.
God love her.
Governor Sarah Huckabee Sanders, the youngest governor in the country, making an impassioned, patriotic plea for new leadership, younger leadership in the country from the governor's mansion in Arkansas. She did a good job. It's not an easy.
I'll be
No,
honest
it's not
with
an
you.
easy thing.
No, it's not.
Go ahead.
And to see the level of, first of all, the whole thing tonight was supposed to be designed about the storyteller, right? That Joe Biden was this great unifier, that he was supposed to.
No.
Sorry, got a little trick. I got a little dribbler there. It's fucking emotional, man.
Yeah.
And to see Joe Biden fail at every single moniker, every single metric, every single goal. And you go, wait a second, he didn't fail. Joe Biden and the Democratic Party did exactly what they intended to do, which was to lie, deceive, and blame everything on the disillusionment that Americans have with their government and try to put a face to it that they were somehow holier than thou and not a part of it. Sarah Huckabee Sanders did the one thing that I had never seen from any party on the recap speech. The minority speech is what it's called, which was to leave politics completely out of the conversation.
Yes.
And focus on the good and the bad, or the good and the evil, more than the normal and the crazy. That story not only should indemnify Donald Trump's presidency and literally create pause for every Democrat to go, wait a second, Donald Trump did that? We didn't know about that. Of course you didn't, because you didn't hear it. You didn't hear about the thousands of other things he did well, because he was a horrible storyteller himself when it came to talking about his successes. And people have always been better about pumping Trump up than he has himself. But I know these stories because I've seen some of them personally, and I've seen him do them. And anyone who believed that Donald Trump said that, you know, when they were supposedly targeting and Russian soldiers were targeting, Putin put targets and bounties on military's head, or when he disparaged the military. No, Donald Trump disparaged people who came after him. And John fucking McCain was a rhino and completely sandbagged the Obama mandate and Obamacare and held it hostage against his word, and Donald Trump attacked him for it. And I don't agree with it, and I think it was petty and small of Trump. But for anyone to believe that Donald Trump didn't absolutely love the military tonight should have pause from somebody with this amount of credibility that Sarah Huckabee Sanders has, and the way that she did it so eloquently. I am blown away by what she just did, which is completely different than what any other party has ever done on that minority speech. And I'm humbled by her words. And if you believe that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is not the future of this party, you just got put on notice tonight that that is what leadership looks like. And the Democrats don't have one person who can do what she just did. Sorry, that was long, but that's my 1 minute plus, and you finish up.
I'll say this. As someone who embraces Republican values, mostly, For all of the people who just got done watching Joe Biden's speech about inflating government, beating up businesses, and all of the people who just saw Sarah Huckabee Sanders give that speech, every veteran out there, whether they know it or not, whether they would own it or not, they fight for this ideal of liberty. We have a Statue of Liberty. We have the Liberty Bell that takes a biblical verse and has it stamped right on the bell's base that says, let freedom ring throughout the land. And so when we're talking about liberty and freedom, again, we have to remember what it is and what the antithesis of liberty is, which is tyranny. And how do you get tyranny? Tyranny is what happens when a government gets so big that they get to tell you what to do, that they can take away your livelihood or certain rights that you think that you own.
Right.
And so for every military person out there who may or may not realize that it is a ratio, tyranny and liberty and tyranny. Even if they don't realize it, one of the greatest things that you can do to honor anyone who has ever fought for the soil of this country is to make sure that you are seizing on as much of those liberties for yourself, for your family, your city, for your neighbors as you can. Make sure that when you vote, that you're voting to retain all of those liberties.
Yeah, that's
and
so
do
well
your
said.
do your own examination as far as, I don't want to make this particularly partisan, but I would say, remember that ratio and look at your candidates and really examine them, put them under the microscope, because they damn well deserve it.
Right.
Remember which ones are fighting to retain your liberty and which ones are looking to expand the government and its power over you. That's my minute.
I think it's exceptionally well said. I'll tell you what, I am very proud of the Republicans tonight. And I think them breaking decorum and shouting down the president when he lied.
Yeah.
They are not going to make this 2 years easy for him. And good. And I don't care what America thinks. It's time to take the gloves off. And this emboldens, hopefully, Christians and Republicans, conservatives, moderates, independents to do the same thing. And I've been preaching this for a while, and I'll tell you, the show's growing. If tonight shows it. Is that I've been trying to challenge people to have a different voice and to get angry. Not fucking January 6th stupidity, but challenge these people. Call the left out, call the right out, call anyone out.
Absolutely.
Who is trying
needs to be called out.
Yes, who is trying to limit your ability to do so. And this is why I've defended Bill Maher for his entire career. I don't like what Bill Maher says all the time, but I like that he says it.
Yeah.
And I like that he wants me to say it. And he doesn't care what my opinion is. He just wants to challenge it if he disagrees with it. And I think that's fantastic. And that's why I will devote my every breath to defending Bill Maher's right to say whatever the hell he wants.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if there is anyone who doesn't believe in that, folks, that's it. That's ball game. It's not about guns. It's not about individual liberties. If you can't, except for one, freedom of speech is first for a reason. It was by design, because without that, we have nothing. And then literally the rest of the amendments and the rest of the Bill of Rights, specifically 2 through 8, are specifically designed to protect the first. And this is how they're going to take it away from you if you let them. The second will defend it with your life. And then the rest of it is how the government, we're protecting you from being with tyrannical rule stopping your ability to have the right to say what you want. And there is only one party right now in the United States that is aligned with that. And there is only one party who's trying to dismantle it. And if you didn't see that tonight, then I don't know how to help you.
Obvious.
I don't know how to help you see it. I just don't know. It's beyond my capability.
That was pretty obvious. Can I add something to what you just said about the First Amendment? Okay.
Yeah.
We have close to 150 people on right now. 3-4 nights ago, I went to go see Jordan Peterson at the Taft Theater in Cincinnati, Ohio. And something that he got burned for up in Canada was this idea of freedom of speech. And I can't think of any more of a clear way to summarize it than to kind of distill what he said. When we talk about the First Amendment and what the government does to try to curtail some of that, to control it, to basically say, no, you really shouldn't be saying some of those things, or you'd really need to only use this type of language. Something that he really stresses on, and I found it to be just absolutely eye-opening and enlightening, is that if someone can tell you what to say, then they can tell you what to think. They are controlling your thoughts by controlling your speech. That's why the First Amendment is so important. That's all I had.
The only thing then I'm really done, and then we'll just cut out, is Richie says, respect John McCain. He is a war veteran like you, Matt. That's a false equivalency. First of all, John McCain, my service doesn't compare to John McCain. Number one. So if we're going to go ahead and unzip flies and compare the endowment of our service, John McCain wins hands down. But if we're going to go ahead and compare our character and our word, I've got him beat 12 fucking ways to Sunday. And those are not mutually exclusive. I can respect his service and honor him as a man and a veteran and a brother, but still hold him accountable for his shortcomings as a human being.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, that's a cop-out. He's not God. This is what people do with Donald Trump, because Donald Trump did some great things. I can't challenge him. The fuck I can't, and the fuck I won't. John McCain broke his word to America, and he dishonored his values and should have been resolute in doing what he said he would do and what people sent him there to do. And he defied his constituents, and fuck him very much. That has nothing to do with his service. And if he was here right now and he's not, God rest his soul, and I apologize for invoking his name. I believe what the Japanese do is correct, as you don't, but I'm going to anyway because it's part of the conversation. If he was sitting across from me right now, I'd say, you fucked up, bucko. But I respect your service and who you are as a human being, but you made a big fucking mistake.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I don't care who you are. I don't take a knee to anybody, and I'm going to call a spade a spade. And John McCain took a lot of his service and his honorable service and his amazing dedication to this country and tarnished it by going against what he was sent to do as a congressman, as a senator. Okay?
Yep.
So, and by the way, I didn't say anything to disrespect him. I said Donald Trump did. I didn't say shit about John McCain, but I'll let you know. I'll say that. All right, folks, that's it. That was a good show, Leroy. I really appreciate you being on. Folks, we are going to go out like we always do. If you have not had a chance, real quick, if you haven't stopped by the website, little video here. This is the Don't Unfriend Me Show store. You can go to thedumbshow.com. You can pick up a cool shirt like Trader Joe's. Got one for you right here. Go over there and buy it. You can get bags of coffee like the Betsy Ross, the Don't Tread on Me, the Trader Joe coffee, which is ridiculous. 1 pound bags, all made by veterans. Greatest coffee ever. I swear, I have a cup every morning. I have like a pot every morning. It's fantastic. Go give it a shot. You can go stop by, listen to the show, watch the show, listen to the show, read the blog, and do some shopping over on Don't Unfriend Me. Use code DUM10. The entire site's on sale right now. DUM10, DUM10. Go buy something nice for the wife and kids, or just buy something for yourself and be a selfish capitalistic pig like I am. Hey, thanks for watching the show. Thanks for listening to Leroy and I. That was a lot of work, but man, I just want to tell you the final numbers. We had over 15,000 reactions to this show tonight. Overall, we had over 1,500 people engage with it. On average, we had 166 people on at the same time. That is incredible. And we had over 4,000 comments. That is a very successful show. So I want to thank you and God bless. Leroy, thanks for being here tonight. I love you, buddy. Thanks for doing it with me.
Yeah.
Folks,
love you guys.
We're going to go out like we always do with the Veteran Crisis Hotline. It's a little bit different. Stick around to the end. It is a cool little outro and nod. Veteran Crisis Hotline, folks, if you need help and you're a veteran, there's nothing to be ashamed of. Leroy and I are both veterans, and we've both received help in life. You can ask for the same thing. Veteran Crisis Hotline's there for you. Listen to this, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, Leroy. I love you, brother.
Love you guys.
All right, man. Peace out.
Peace. I'm David Boreanaz with the Cast of SEAL team, and we have an important message for returning vets. We want you to know if you're struggling to cope, there's help, and it's just a phone call away.
The Veterans Crisis Line is staffed with experienced professionals who know your struggles.
There's no greater sacrifice in service to our country. We're able to enjoy our freedoms because of it.
Your service is important. You are important. For vets and their families, the Veterans Crisis Line is here to help 24 hours a day. Please call